Boom, it's fun.
And scene. Grant, how are you?
Ben, how are you?
I'm
Most importantly, it's how are you first?
I'm good. I'm good. Life's just insane.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's good to see you. Like
It's
we were
good
just
to see you
talking
too,
about
Grant.
what, 5 months, 6 months?
It's been 5 months. You want to tell the listeners
Too long.
who you are,
Well,
how we know each other?
Oh,
which
yeah.
is
Okay.
you're the first, by the way.
so we're gonna talk about a story how I met Benjamin Arguelles at DZ Records. He was my professor in college, and I remember signing up for your class, and it said like no instructor on it because they didn't have an instructor for it yet.
Yeah.
And then you walk in the class, and then it was weird. After a couple of days, we just like got to, we were just. The humor was the same, and you were just the way that you taught. I was just like, I asked a lot of questions.
You sure did.
Yeah, but you liked that. You were like, all right, he's actually into this.
Yes,
So.
it's how you learn as an instructor. Especially, it was my first time ever teaching.
Yeah,
Like in graduate school, you teach a couple classes. You're a graduate assistant. You do some other work, but you're not like in charge
Right.
for a long time. So I'm just thrown into it. I'm driving. No, I'm taking the train 2 hours away from home.
all right. So that's what blew my mind when I met you. Was that you were like, yeah, I just drive up to Hickory Hills after, teaching here all day, and then I got to drive back like 2-3 days later.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? But you did have a friend.
I had a friend in
Bloomington.
Bloomington. The first semester, I stayed Monday through Thursday. I'd sleep on an air mattress in his living room. Fun stuff. It was so funny because
How'd you know?
I've known him my whole life. He's one of my best
okay.
friends. He was getting his graduate degree there in sociology or anthropology actually, and so that was fun because we got to be like kids again. Like I got to like sleep in his living room, hang out. He was lonely down there, so we got to have fun. But that first semester was crazy. Like half my life living there, half here, living on an air mattress, not knowing what I'm doing, getting used to like a bunch of students and teaching but people like yourself and Brandon were helpful because you're very optimistic,
Yeah.
enthralled, alive, asked a lot of questions, kind of got the class talking, stuff like that. So that was fun. Very interesting experience. So yeah, you're the first student I've ever had on here, so that's kind of
Let's
interesting.
go. See it? Bending brains. Here we go. I made it. That's what's awesome is I met you as my instructor, and I'd like to think that you doing all this driving and all this craziness, that when you came to class, you're like, hey, at least I'll get to see Grant. I would hope it was like that.
When I'm at, mile
Brandon,
60 in Dwight, Illinois on I-55 heading south, I'm like, I can't wait to see those faces.
Yeah.
No, you certainly made, because we had 2 classes, 3 classes, because we did mixing and mastering, sound design, and the
What was the other one?
Intro to Arts Technology, the basic skills in arts technology.
Was that the one in
the
the
201 by Jody's office.
Oh my gosh, that was like I
That
remember
class was ridiculous.
I know it was absolutely ridiculous.
I had fun.
I had fun.
It pushes you to like try something new and be creative. But if certain students aren't into it, it can be kind of awkward, because
Right.
every class is like a new project, a new something.
Right.
So Grant is one of the other people talking.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. So that's like when we had met, I knew. I was like, you know what? He's like totally just loving the way that I'm like talking so much because he's like, because nobody would talk in any of these classes.
Yeah.
It was so awkward, and I can't stand that awkward silence. That's the worst. It is awful. I can't stand that at all. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna talk through it, And then I just started asking a ton of questions, and then I don't know, just like we just started becoming cool.
Yeah.
And then I was obviously figuring out, DZ and everything, and just like how, dedicated to your work you were. It was how I felt about me being a full-time musician. So that's I guess at the end of the day, my title is I'm a indie singer-songwriter. I tour around the Midwest. I hit 8 states, but usually the 4 around the lake primarily. So, Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Illinois.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's me. That's how I met Ben. And when I saw he was just so passionate in DZ, it as somebody who's very passionate about writing music and being a singer-songwriter, I just identified with that. And I think that's a big reason why, you and I became friends.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you know what? I'm like, he's a cool dude. He doesn't grade. You know, that was the thing too. Is like you would grade me like not like hard, but like you'd be very honest with me, and that's what I loved because like teachers like, oh yeah, it's good,
Yeah.
and just like turn it in and get whatever on it, right? Because it's a lot of college courses. Hey, turn it in. You just put something down and complete it, and we'll give you 100%.
Yeah.
That's like with you. You gave like good, honest feedback, and I appreciated that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's hard. It's hard when you have 70 students and you have to give a subjective feedback that parallels objectivity as far as technical approach to audio, but a lot of it's subjective because it's your own personal thoughts on how you want to mix something. So it's very difficult and takes time. So to do that for 70 students is a very how many times can I say the same thing? It's very it's on my end it's difficult. And that takes years to hone in on how to do that. That's why COVID made it so hard because it stopped us from having that interaction. So when you're trying to learn how to be a better educator, teacher, professor, what have you, when you are robbed of that because you go to Zoom calls and no one's engaging, if you thought no one spoke before, Zoom calls, everyone's screen is black and no one is speaking. And you're like, I am going to be so bad at this. I have a feeling my students are going to hate me. I have a feeling that they're going to leave bad feedback. Like, I felt bad. I was like, this is not going to go well,
But I only did one...
You
semester.
graduated, right?
I did one semester. Half of it. Yeah.
That sucks. So you were robbed of your last 7 weeks of college.
I'll be honest though, I'll take that over being like the kids like
who started college.
That had to start like August of 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
Heart goes out to you guys.
Yeah. If you're think about this, if you're starting August 2020, it means that your senior year with like the senior banquet and the prom and the events was robbed the previous spring. So that was robbed, and then your first freshman year of college is robbed.
Right.
Oh my God, that sounds terrible.
You know what? I had a lot of people say like, "Oh, like how do you feel? Like, do you feel like you got kind of like screwed over because it was your last semester or whatever?" And I was like, "No, like you're so ready to leave like that once that." Well,
maybe
year
like walking if you wanted to walk.
Yeah.
Did that bother you that you couldn't walk?
Not really. I don't know.
You're just done.
Who cares?
You're just done.
Who cares? It's college. Just get the dang
It's different
paper.
from high school. High school's a lot cooler to like
Yeah.
go through the motion of it. Like that last day when you're walking the hallways, your very last day of high school, it's a very surreal experience because you're like, I might walk a hallway again if I go to college. It's not the same.
No.
But this is like the last time I'm doing anything where I'm like in this institution and I have to be here and I'm a kid. Like it's done after this. And it's a very strange. So they have that robbed, that unique rite of passage,
Right. And I think the high schoolers got it worse because it's like
they did. They're also not as prepared to handle it. They're not fully adults yet. They haven't experienced life yet, so it's a different experience.
Right. And I think when you do this, college is like that's why it's like hey, take your time, do it at your pace. But I give people credit who have to go for longer than 4 years because I was like screaming to get out of there. Like you single-handedly made college awesome.
Wow, thank you,
hands down.
That's a great compliment.
You and Aaron were just two people that I don't know, gravitated towards. That I was just like, oh, these are people I can.
These are nerds.
Yeah, like people I can kind of relate
who are
with.
Obsessed with their craft.
Yeah, like I mean, if you saw Aaron's last Facebook post on those speakers he's making, it's like, dude, you're awesome.
I love it. I love hanging out at his house. He's got the best sound system I've ever heard in my life.
Oh yeah,
it's so amazing. The
he
podcast I did with him. Have you gone?
No, I've never gone.
You should have went if he invited you.
He invited us like a couple of times, and every time he invited us, I couldn't go, which made me mad.
You missed out. It is the most unique sound system in the world. I mean, it's custom, built by him. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's a wizard with sound design and acoustics, the physics of it, even the electrical components. He's done all of it.
Well, that's amazing. What always blew my mind. Sorry, I got away from the mic for a second.
No, it's okay.
It's the worst.
It's okay.
We don't like those types of people.
You're loud enough to where off-axis isn't that bad because you're so close.
I don't know if I should take that as a compliment.
If you're like this person that's a foot away, this is bad. But if you're just doing this, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
These
mics too, I mean, come on, they're what, 350, 400 a piece?
I think so, unless you know someone.
Oh.
Not saying I do.
No. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I don't know anything.
But yeah, no, when you and Aaron both had like I don't know. It bugged me when I had professors in college, like when I started out, that like it just seemed like they were there. You know, they didn't care. You know, because you can feel that.
Yeah.
At least I can.
Yeah.
And you and Aaron always seemed like you guys cared, and like, you know, you guys just like you being, you know, Ben, fun, always smile. I don't think one day I maybe saw you annoyed one day in class because there was that whole table that was talking that whole class period.
Yeah, that's happened a couple times.
Yeah, and you're just like, guys, I got to get through this. Like, work with me.
Yeah.
I remember that.
We're too old to be talking through this right now.
Right.
And you're paying a lot of money to be here.
Right.
You know, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
It's tricky because students are paying a lot of money to be there, and professors who work at state institutions, and more specifically in the creative arts, are not compensated that well for
dealing with something like that.
Something like that, even the stuff, the precursor that leads to you becoming a professor is all the education, all that money spent on it, and then you being so active and relative in your field, which is a lot of work too.
Right.
So you're doing all this work academically speaking and professionally speaking, and you're trying to hone in on how to be a scholar and expert. So when you're paid like okay, and then you have students who are paying money and everyone's like, you're not being treated well by them, it's like, it makes you turn into that professor. It's like, all right, I'm here, not give good feedback, not really care. You become a shell of what you originally wanted to do.
Well, right, and I think you become ultimately what they're doing to you.
Yeah.
It's like they're just trying to make you be like, all right, hey, get it done, you know, completion work, stuff like that.
It's very political.
Don't get me wrong. Some of those classes in college that were like that needed to be like that.
Yes.
I mean, because it's just like, I don't care. Like, I remember geology freshman year, and I'm like, who cares about rocks? I don't anymore. I'm like, I know, what is it? A sedimentary rock. I don't, whatever.
Unless you're into
whatever.
rocks.
I don't even know.
Then why would you care? You know?
Exactly. That's the thing that is just like, like a general education stuff you have to get, like, it's like, when am I going to use that? So I think that's why some of, like, college students do that.
Yeah.
But they do, like, there's a big difference between, like, actual major courses and then the gen ed stuff you have to do. Because I remember when I would go to class, there was one gen ed that I just hated. It was biology.
Yeah.
And couldn't stand it. It was in Schrader at ISU. And it was like a 1 o'clock class. But it was, oh my gosh. It just was like, I hate biology. I've never been good at biology. I'm like, what's the point of the report card in high school and all that, and your grades and the GPA, if you're simply just going to be like, well, he did bad in biology freshman and sophomore year, let's give him a biology course.
Yeah.
Like, you should really look at that stuff, I always thought. And funny enough, with that class, there was a guy behind me, in the row behind me, and he was like cheating, and the TA looked up, and he looked at me, and he thought it was me. So I got hit with like a, hey, you got to come to my office because one of my TAs thought they saw you cheating. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was sitting there. I'm like, I bombed the test.
I got a C. What do you mean?
It wasn't a C. It was like a 62%. I bombed it. I'm like, well, even if I did in that sense, which I actually did not, because there's no point to do that. I'm like, if I'm going to screw myself over like that and not study and just not be good at something, whatever, just get through it. That's kind of my mentality with it. But this dude mistakes me for another guy behind me who's like, doing that. And so I get pulled to the TA, and I knew who the TA was because I had just had him in class, and he was in one of my other classes. And funny enough, after this moment happened, he was in a class after mine. I was giving the death stare because he tried ratting me out. And I ended up going to the office, and the bio professor was just a total, just like, oh my gosh, like it wasn't me. I'm like, look at my test. And I told her, I just sat and I was by myself. Like,
if I'm the worst at cheating if I have a 62.
That's what I said. And I was like, look, really, am I going to cheat? I got a 62%. Like, I admittedly did not study.
Yeah.
I admitted to this. I'm like, I didn't do good, clearly. Like, it matches the issue, okay? The behavior matches that issue, right? So she finally just goes like, okay, we're so sorry. Like, she goes over, brings the TA into her office while I'm there. So I'm sitting in the waiting room, just like leg crossed over, just bored out of my mind waiting for them. They're in the office, and then they're like, yeah, I think the TA had made a mistake. And I was like, so I've been telling you guys for the past week. They got me all scared and were like, this could get you kicked out. And I'm like, I didn't do anything. I was like getting really just like angry. And then I would go to classes like yours where I would never do something like that. And they actually get to know you on a personal level. And that's my big gripe with those gen ed classes.
Because they're bigger classes.
Well, yeah.
How many kids were in the biology classes?
Oh, it was probably a couple hundred.
Oh my, yeah. You don't get to know anybody. But when you have, 13, 15, I don't like that it's gone past 15. I like 15 being the max, but now the classes, because the influx of attendance has gone up so much. And
really?
Our program's growing so much.
That's awesome.
Do you know how many kids were in it when you started in CTK? Or was it ATK at the time?
Yeah, it was ATK and then it was CTK my last year. No, but it wasn't a lot. I mean, I had the same people in my classes.
Right.
It was kind of tight-knit.
It probably, if I remember correctly, it must have been around like 110, 120. And now I think it's like 180, or almost 200.
Wow.
Yeah, it keeps growing. But the thing is, now we're getting more people from outside of the department.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so now like the classes used to be 15, and now they're 20.
So people are
5
transferring
spots.
majors?
No, just they're taking the classes in different departments. So they have a different degree, maybe business, but they're like as a extracurricular thing or an extra class, they're taking it. So we have 5 spots available for extra students that aren't in CTK. So I'll have 20 maxed out every time, and it's really hard to go over 20 projects, explain 20 different things, critique 20 different students. It's time consuming.
I feel like 15 would be tough.
15's hard. I really like 12. 10, 12 is awesome. You can take time with it. You get to know each other. When you're doing a creative endeavor, it's important to like have a relationship with the student. So you can understand where they're coming from, what their style, what they're into, their learning curve, all that stuff.
See kind of how their brain ticks.
I like those classes. I would never be able to teach like 100, 200 class. That sounds insane.
Oh my God.
You have no relationship with your students at all.
Yeah.
You don't know anybody. They're a number. That's it.
Well, I guess I got to look at it that way too. I guess if you're going to look at it one way, you got to look at it the other. She probably didn't know either.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? I dropped it. I'm over it. But yeah, Ben, Illinois State, that's where I met you.
What was your major?
I was sound design, like live sound. It was like it was just like that general.
A hodgepodge.
Yeah, the hodgepodge, because I did the environmental stuff or the live sound. And
well, we needed your students like you, so now we have the program being implemented next fall. The official audio music production. You can get a degree in it now at ISU.
Wow, thanks ISU.
And I was working on that, and the first week I started there, I was coming up with those classes and coming up with the syllabi, and it took 4 years to be approved and implemented and everything, and now we're there. A sophomore.
Congrats,
Thank
dude.
you.
That's awesome.
It's a very long process.
I wish I was there when it was there.
It's a long process, and because there's so many loops and so many like political things, it just takes so long to get approved by the Board of Education. It's like way above my pay grade. I'm like, I'll come up with the ideas, and you guys
I'll be
make
the
it
idea
happen.
guy.
Yeah,
leave it to
for
that.
now, because I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. Like I'm at the very bottom. It takes time. I'm not like a director or a tenured professor or anything, so I don't have much of a say. But I'm excited to teach like very specific classes instead of like sound design 1, the one that you took first with me.
Right.
That really should be like 4 classes in one. It is 4 classes in one, but it's only 1 class, which is a problem. It should be 4 individual classes. The subject matter is so intricate and there's so much in-depth things you should go into when talking about audio theory, audio production, sound design, sound art. It's literally those 4 things in one. And then that's why I like mixing and mastering, because it was one subject and you stuck with it.
That's why that flowed super well, because I did notice about Sound Design 1 that it was like
bouncing around.
Yeah, it was like, hey, 2, 3 chapters.
It's a little bit too much of everything. Whereas mixing and mastering is like this week's 2, next week's 4, next week's 8, like tracks to mix. Then they just kept 12, 16, 20, 24, and it made a lot of sense.
Yeah,
it just slowly built, and that was fun. I'm glad to teach that one again.
Yeah. Oh, why wouldn't you? It was such a fun class.
Yeah.
But and honestly, a lot of sound stuff that I learned throughout college has helped me in my touring life when I'm setting up my own sound.
Just the language you can speak with the sound engineer you're working with.
Right.
You could be on the same page. They like that too. When the musician knows about that stuff and You know how not to be petty because you're like, I don't need that in my monitor. It's fine.
I'm a solo musician. I'm like, just give me a DI and a mic. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm a
You're in a
acoustic
spot
guitar
where
player.
you'll always be able to hear something. It's just you. You're not competing with anything.
That's what's nice.
So how did you get into just being a solo musician? When did that all start?
Oh my gosh. Like, I feel like I kind of say the same story, but like, I think a lot of it started early when I was just like listening to music. My dad was just like, I remember it's really weird because he would listen to like this wide array of like, I'd hear like Brandy by The Looking Glass, then I would hear like Jump by Van Halen, and then I would hear like, oh my gosh, Dave Mason, you know the song We Just Disagree, you know that song? Ooh. It's like that type of music. Sorry, I had a little moment there, but that type of music kind of all came together. And then he had his side of like, he loved like the Carpenters and like just all this old music, like Carpenters, the 3 Degrees. I don't know if you ever heard of that group. So many other just different types of music that I was hearing, at least at the end of the day, because then my dad, when I was younger, I'd hear like Eminem and like just all this different, like, you know, you'd hear, what's this song called? Lose Yourself.
Yeah.
And like just all these different type of rock, but then you get like it's just mostly like, my dad loves that 70s sound. I, to this day, still hear him listening to 70s on 7. You know, that's that XM station all the time. It's crazy. Every time I get into the car, the 70s on 7. You know, he just loves that sound. So I heard a lot of those types of groups growing up. And then my mom was a big, like, Stones fan. And, God, who else did she like? She liked the Stones, like Patti Smith, sorry. Who else? She had one that she just really loved. Either way, sorry, Mom. That like type of music on her end too, just kind of mixed with my dad's, and I just heard a lot of music when I was like growing up. Like, but they weren't musicians. My parents weren't musicians. My brother's not a musician, but I do have cousins that are musicians. I got a cousin who's a drummer, like metal drummer, and he did. You know,
how's that go?
you know the China, some of the.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's like, I think they kind of put themselves as like deathcore or whatever. You know, I'm not a big metal guy, but you know, I don't know the subgenres a ton with that. But he's a great drummer, and I got a other cousin who's he's like 29. He lives in Texas. He played he played bass guitar and regular guitar, just regular guitar. Electric guitar. Sorry, I'm a little nervous, guys.
Why are you nervous?
Because it's good to be on the show. I don't know. It's cool. I just feel like, come on. Look. We got the cover art here. We got the awesome light. We got the cool like 50s style table.
Does it help that I'm not nervous?
Yeah, it does.
Okay,
it
good.
does. It does. It's just cool. I'm like good nervous. You know. What I mean?
Yeah.
But just listening to all that music and having cousins who were in the music, because they were older than me. So growing up, seeing them, you know, seeing my cousin play bass or seeing him playing guitar, I was just like, man, that's so cool. So I remember I wanted a guitar when I was in 6th grade. How old are you in 6th grade? Was that
12? 11,
12? So I wanted a guitar, and my cousin Tyler had a ton of guitars. He ended up selling one to my dad for Christmas. And so I got like a Fender Starcaster, like just total off-brand. And it was like, here's the fretboard and here are the strings. Like the action was nada.
Bad
It
action.
was so bad. And I learned just you know, Smoke on the Water and what's the other obligatory one? Iron Man. You have to learn the first.
Classic.
Oh my gosh. It just takes me back just because I can literally put myself back in that moment when I got that guitar. And that's what I knew when I knew I was like, this is something I want to do. So I kind of went, you know, I learned guitar for a little bit, and I put it down for a little bit because I was, you know, I had friends that played sports in junior high too, and I was like, hey, you know, I want to be like my friends, so I'll go play sports this year. And then I just was so done with it after, you know, maybe 7th grade, and I was just like, I don't want to do. I'm like, because I've been playing music on the side too, and I'm like, this is just more fun. I feel like this is more my outlet. So what ended up happening is I stopped playing sports, and I just really was wanting to play guitar and drums. So then I started doing drum lessons when I was 20. So it was 2012. So
About 10 years ago.
yeah, about 10 years ago, I got my first drum lesson from my friend Greg, who was here that we did the live session.
Oh,
with.
nice.
Greg gave me my first drum
He
lesson.
moved to California?
Yeah, he's out in LA.
Nice.
So he's out there killing it. But he gave me my first drum lesson ever, and I was doing just one, 2 and 4 on the snare, and bass on 1, 2, and 3 and 4. So that was my first drum lesson, and I was 14 years old, and yeah, it just I don't know, it clicked with me mentally.
Mm-hmm.
I just was so enthralled with it, like we were talking about with what I appreciated about your work, and that's kind of how I got into it, as just enjoying it. And then I knew seriously, like my freshman year, I was like, I was taking drum lessons, I'm working hard, picking up the guitar on the side, just I took lessons for guitar obviously too, but like everybody does. But
I never did.
you're self-taught for the most part, right?
Completely, yeah.
Nice.
Never took a lesson.
Yeah, for the most part, I'm self-taught, but I did like a couple of years just to get some like technique stuff, just because.
Yeah.
it's good to have. It's like a
I have no
Rolodex.
technique. I have my own technique.
Well, no, that's good though.
Yeah.
That's good. Like I'm not sitting there like going up and down scales all day, making it boring. But just doing fun exercises to get warmed up. Especially on an acoustic guitar, it's fun to do that so you can get in the kind of the groove of things. But I ended up doing drum lessons, and I just got in a couple bands in high school. I was drumming, and we won like Battle of the Bands, or like second place in Battle of the Bands in Naperville, like my senior year in one of my bands. And then just was like doing a ton of like just fun recording, and that just was ultimately like the start of how I became a musician. And then I knew my senior year, because I had a lot of bandmates that I was drumming for in the bands in high school. We were all going like separate ways. College, somebody was in Iowa, somebody was in Wisconsin, somebody was in Indiana. I mean, Illinois, or Champaign, you know what I mean, or ISU, whatever. And I was at ISU, obviously, and I ended up wanting to just kind of really start my solo career and release stuff that I'm putting out, that I'm writing. And that's how the singer-songwriter thing was born. Basically, to put it all in a little nutshell here, I started being a singer-songwriter not only because I love it, but because everybody was leaving.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? This is what I'm passionate about. And I'm like, solo too, when you're on the road, it's like you only have to worry about one schedule, one person.
It's easy.
It's easy. And
like very easy.
Yeah.
You get to keep all the money.
that too. But like that's the thing though, as well on with starting with this, is it was always my dream to like tour. So when I did my first like tour, you do a couple dates out of state, and it's like, this is great. You're like, I don't know, it was that itch I couldn't.
It's
not
fun.
scratch. Oh, it's
traveling, seeing things most people don't get to see.
Right.
Meeting new people, finding yourself in unique situations, new food, new culture. It's fun. I love it.
That's what's great about it. And, now that I've been really at it for years, I mean, touring throughout college too. And, I was gigging more part-time in college because I was going to school. But, do like 1-2 gigs a week. And then now I have I have a set tonight. So,
where at?
Up in Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Waukesha.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. You never heard of it?
Waukesha?
You never heard of Waukesha, Wisconsin?
Where's it at?
It's a suburb of Milwaukee.
Oh.
Didn't you hear about that guy that drove into that parade? Did you hear about that guy?
Maybe. I hear about a lot of terrible things happen so often that I'm like, I don't even.
Right. It's kind of white noise. But either way, that shouldn't even be what I say about Waukesha. It's a very nice spot.
Upstanding place?
Yeah. It's a suburb of Milwaukee. So
Okay.
some crazy dude drove into a parade of people and killed a couple people.
When was this?
2 weeks ago? 3
What?
weeks, maybe a month ago.
I don't know.
Probably a month
I
ago.
know how I missed that. I just don't know how I missed that.
It's just like the Michigan shooter, man. When it rains, it pours.
I
It's
miss
so
a
sad.
lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's too bad.
I'm like, these things happen so often that I don't know. It's. I had this conversation recently with a friend, and I was like, it doesn't really change that much, knowing it or not knowing. You're just a little bit more upset
Yeah.
and sad that day, but then you're over it real quick. But now you have that lingering on you. And I'm aware that these terrible things happen, so I rather like try my best to be in a good state of mind so I could help people and make a difference.
Right.
Like that's relative to me and my life, my financial situation, my reach. But like trying to pay attention to every single terrible thing that goes on in the city, the county, the state, the
Right.
region, the country, this
It's
hemisphere.
overwhelming,
It's not possible. It's impractical, flub in there, and not really feasible. And it's kind of hard on the mental state of mind. And anyone I know who really keeps up with the harsh stuff going on in the world, they're pretty sad all the time, pretty upset.
Well, right. And,
You know.
trust me, I'm not focusing. I'm more focusing on getting to the show.
Yeah.
You know, entertaining and stuff. And, but yeah, I totally agree. I just think if you, it's all about mindset, at least for me, as being, you know, just, because like, honestly, I don't know. I always felt kind of weird about it when I was, you know, starting out as a musician. Like, you know, but that's how I identify myself. You know, I'm like, to me, it's like I pick up a guitar. It's like that's my guitar. That's what I do for a living, right? And you know, but that's like it's weird how when you do this job and you just kind of have to gain a new perspective and attitude in a lot of ways of just like you need to be so open-minded about new things, whether it comes to recording or being out and like understanding different people. I mean, I love my job. It's opened my eyes up to a lot of things and like having, like you said, just focusing on the good and creating a difference. Like when I go to my job, I want to make sure that I'm entertaining people and people have a nice time.
Yeah.
And people go like, hey, I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get a comment like that, or you get the tip, which is always nice, obviously, getting tips. But when you get the tip, it's like a, you know, thank you, but in cash form.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's nice when you get that because, like, you know, people don't have to necessarily do that. People go out of their way to do it. And like it restores my faith in humanity when people like say nice things or come up and tip and do stuff like that. It's like, yeah, the money's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying the action of them doing that and thinking what I'm doing, what I'm singing and playing is worth cash value to them. That says a million things because it's like, I don't know, that's how people communicate sometimes. It's like, hey, you know what? I appreciate the job. Here you go. You know, and all types of businesses and, you know, things in the world. So to me, it's just nice because I thought for a while there that just everybody was bitter and negative for a little bit with all the 2020 stuff and then just all the bad news that goes on.
And the 2021 stuff.
Yeah, and the 2021
This is a
stuff.
2-year ordeal.
It is.
Maybe 3.
Yeah. Well, let's hope don't say that.
I have a feeling next summer is going to be like a very different life.
I would hope so.
It's going to be the beginning of like a new renaissance, and our version of the Roaring 20s, you know. I think it'll start up next summer.
Dang, we can go Gatsby on it. You're going to start calling me old sport.
I think
sport.
people are really overwhelmed and tired of this. I think with like all the news of new variants coming out, and a third booster shot,
Right.
or third shot, and I don't know. I just feel like we'll figure some things out more, and everyone's gonna be a lot more. Because I mean, people are already going to shows. Like I'm going to a show tomorrow night. I've gone to 5 concerts already. I've gone to the movies.
Right.
I've gone to restaurants. I don't do any of that stuff as much as I used to.
Right.
But I've done it and I've gone to it and I'm like, man, it's like this close. For those listening, I'm holding my fingers close together. It's this close to being normal.
For those listening, I'm holding my fingers close together. There was no space.
There's
We're
no
just
space.
on top of each other. That's
This
how little
close.
it is.
It's this close to being normal again, but it's
Yeah.
not. You know, you pull your mask down when you drink a beer at the show, and you put it back up.
What's the
It's
difference?
so
you know?
interesting.
I know. It's like I saw a meme the other day, and it was how stupid Americans are in one meme, and it was like split half, you know, like this. So just take like a square and split it in half. Top was people like waiting like to board a flight, and they're all spread like 6 feet apart, and then it's all these people crammed in a plane, and then they have masks on. It's like, what was the point of the 6 feet distance of you wait? It's just like,
Or go to a sold out show.
right?
You can go to sold out shows
Oh
and
my
be
gosh.
on top of each other.
I don't know.
which I've been to.
Is it like a thing that people just feel better with them on? Because to me, it's like I forgot my mask a lot of times. Like I've walked into places and people have been like, "Sir," and I'm like looking around. I'm like, "What?" And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot we're doing this thing."
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's just a political thing. It's signaling something that you believe a certain way, but then you take it off to eat really quickly or to drink. It's weird. Or we're not 6 feet from each other at a concert or a movie theater. It's really strange. It is the weirdest stance. I just laugh at it. I'm like, I'll follow the rules.
Yeah. Right. I don't
follow
want to
the
get
rules,
kicked out.
but I'm laughing at it the whole time. I'm following them, but I'm just inside looking at my friend like, this is so goofy.
This is stupid. What are we doing?
You can go into the smallest restaurant. You walk in, mask on. The person brings you to the table. You walk for 3 seconds. You take it off right away. There's like 20 feet you have it on. I'm like, there's no plastic anywhere. There's no one checked your ID if you're vaccinated or not. You're just like, what's the point of any of this at this point?
Yeah.
It's this weird, delicate dance of signaling, your virtues and who you are and what you believe. And I don't know, like, I definitely believe in science and think people should probably get vaccinated, especially if you're in the right age group and whatnot. But now that we do that and we were told to do that and we did it and you show the proof, show your ID, the mask thing seems like a weird, I don't know, like arbitrary thing at this point. I don't know.
All right, I got a story.
Sure. Tell it.
And this is a recent story. I don't care if they see this. Not going to name names. Don't worry.
Don't name names.
But a friend of mine, this couple, they were getting married recently, which congrats to them. It was so funny. And, it's like no disrespect or anything, but, she would post on like about boosters, like booster shots. Why is, I didn't like, it's totally fine. You can post whatever you want. I just think it's funny because, it's life. You got to find the funny things, right? It's like, why has it become like a trend to post, got my booster, like, hey, vaxxed up, like, it's like those like I just voted stickers they have now. It's just like, I just got vaxxed. Yeah. And it's like, I don't care. Like, I just like, that's cool. Like, I just feel like everybody nowadays, I think the vaccine has pushed people to be like so in your face about stuff. And like, I feel like before the pandemic, people were just so like, hey man, let me do my thing and you do yours. And now it's just kind of like, look at me, And I think social media is obviously good in ways, but I think it's social media running its course too with that as well, where people, it's not just the vaccine, but it's one of those things where I see people being like, hey, like, I got my booster or this or that. And it's just like, did you think before you posted this, like when I'm taking a picture, it's like.
We all know what it means.
I know.
You're trying to signal your virtues, your political side.
Right.
Looking for attention. You're concerned about that mic.
No, I just want to make sure I'm talking on it.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, okay.
Trust me, you're on it. You're loud.
All right,
you are one of the loudest people I've ever met.
Do I take that as a compliment?
You should. You should go into politics. Just yell.
What's going on 7 years ago?
You definitely have the voice and charisma of someone who should be like in public as far as like performing.
Well, thank you.
You definitely have it.
I try to. I feel like what I've always tried to do is I feel like I tend to ramble sometimes.
No.
And
you?
All right, now I guess it's noticeable now.
Sometimes I was like, who's teaching this class? Is it me or is it Grant?
Well, you know me well. You said that to me in class one time. I was like, dude, come on. I'm just trying to be a part. I gave you that. I was like, sorry, just trying to be a part of the class. And you were like, no, I love it. I'm like, I'm kidding, man. Just teach the dang class. But like, I tend to do that sometimes. And I don't know exactly why I do. I just think I like talking. I don't know what it is.
You're very thorough, very detailed. Like you'll be like, and then Ron, and you're like, I don't think people needed to know that person's name or like what year they were born, but you sure told, like, you're just thorough. It's like you should be.
Is that bad?
Depends on what avenue you're in. It's bad. It's not really bad. Like at its core, it's not bad.
No, I don't think so.
Not at all. It's not a bad thing. But depending on like your profession or what you're doing, Like you'd probably be really good at like radio or like interviewing because you can go in such depth.
Right.
Or performing, singing, things that take a lot of stamina and a lot of time and a lot of speaking and a lot of vocal exercise.
Well, I picked the right craft
You sure
and the
did.
right avenue, I think.
That or a politician who's just ranting all day. Mm-hmm. Do you ever think about politics?
No.
Good.
Oh, dude, I hate politics.
Who wants to go into politics?
I know.
That's the worst thing.
I think about that Always Sunny episode. Are you an Always Sunny fan?
Oh yeah, I've seen.
Can you
most
swear
of it.
on this podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. It's nothing bad, but
I love how people always ask me that. It's like,
you gotta ask.
I don't
You
care
gotta
what
ask.
people say.
Well, you never know. People are very, very butthurt nowadays.
I have no sponsors, no investors, so I'm beholden to no one.
Well, you just got your first investor. But where was I going with that? How did
You
I
asked if
say
you
that?
could swear, and you're
Oh,
quoting
yeah.
something from
Yeah.
It's Always Sunny.
Oh yeah, Always Sunny. There's that episode about them going into politics. It's like one of the first couple episodes, or in the first season or two.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank, Danny DeVito's like, you have to be a real low life piece of shit to get into politics. And then it goes to the cutaway to the name of the episode, and it's the gang gets into politics.
Mm-hmm.
And Dennis Reynolds, Glenn Howerton said it best. He was like, who am I going to vote for? The Republican blasting me in the ass or the Democrat blasting me in the ass? It's just one big ass blast. And it's like so true. And it's like, it's in such a comedic way. I think that's why like I identify things with like that because it's so true. And that's why I never really would ever want to get into politics. I remember like there were those kids growing up that were like, I want to be president. And it's like, no, you don't.
No, you don't. You want to have your whole life just looked over with a microscope.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do anything. And everyday common mistakes that people grow from in life, you're like looked at as a terrible person. It's like, dude, everyone does that.
Right.
People smoke, like people drink, people swear, people say stuff that they regret and they don't do it anymore.
Right.
Like because that was when they were 21 and now they're 50. Like,
Right.
It's dumb. And also it's so fake.
Oh,
It's
it
the
is.
most disingenuous thing I've ever seen
Exactly.
in my life. It is all about money. It is all about names. It's all
Right.
about who you know. It's a joke. I don't take any of it seriously.
Me
I don't
either.
even know. I could care less, honestly, at this point.
Yeah.
It's a mess. It's a hot mess. It matters and it absolutely doesn't. I don't know.
Dude, I'm from Naperville. You know how many people I went to high school with that are like on Facebook and I'd be like, I'm progressive. It's like, or I'm conservative. It's like, nobody cares. Just stop.
Just be yourself.
Just stop.
Can you just
Yes.
be a nice person?
I know.
Just
Why is
be
it?
a nice
But you know
person.
those filters they start putting up now? Like, vote Democrat. Like it's like your
Yeah.
profile picture, and then you could put a frame around your profile picture now.
I know.
Vote Democrat, vote Republican. It's like, guys, I don't, it's cool.
How
It's like,
about just be a decent human being?
I know, but no, I just don't like the way that people live their life vicariously through that stuff.
Yeah, no.
Just like, that's my identity.
They probably need a hobby. That's about it.
yeah.
They probably need to try something new.
something like that. But that's why I never got into politics, because I just thought it was all I thought it was a joke. I just was like, this. I'm like,
It is a joke.
Well, think about it. Like, if you watch Parks and Rec too, then you'll really think about it.
It's
like,
a
wow.
joke that people who spent 6 to 8 years in college to get very specific degrees, like law degrees or public policy degrees, they end up going into it. But other than that, it's like, or journalists maybe.
Yeah.
It's a waste. So it shouldn't be.
Right.
I'm being so much on one side of it because that's how bad it is. I wish
No,
it wasn't.
I
I wish
agree.
it was more of an honored profession and taken more seriously because it should be. It's extremely serious. Yet
Right.
it's an absolute laughing stock of this town and city and country. And the people who should be politics will never be one. And because they're like, no, why would I want to deal with that nonsense? And those who are, you're like, who were you? Because, you went to Yale and your dad was so-and-so and
Yeah, good
you
for
were in
you.
this fraternity and you knew that person. You were in Skull and Bones because you went to Harvard. Who knows what they were in?
Get into a frat. It'll look good on the old resume.
Did you go to any frat parties?
No.
No?
I don't think I ever went to a frat party in college.
Nice.
No,
I
I
never did either.
My dad was in a fraternity because like that's what you did in the 80s, I guess. And he was in a fraternity. And
What school?
At ISU.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my dad.
Wow,
my dad-
legacy kid over here.
Yeah. Yo, dude, you a legacy, bro? What's your name? What's the last name, huh?
I apologize in advance. There'll be a lot of clipping on this episode.
Stop. I'll back up.
No. This is what you do. When you get loud, you go,
Yeah. No, I know. I do it as I do it as a performer.
And then, but when you get louder, you get, oh,
I know. I'm sorry. I think it's funny though when you have the clipping. Of boom, boom, boom. That's just the funniest thing.
if this was an audio class, I'd be like, no clipping.
Yeah.
How many times How many times did I say that to you guys?
Oh my gosh.
I went over. What is with the clipping? No clipping.
Yeah. Well, no. I made sure that in my assignments, and you'd be like, Grant, I can barely hear this. Like you said, no clipping.
Bro, you said no clipping. It's a 24-bit system. I have 144 decibels of headroom. Let's go.
Dude, I am sorry. I will move back like a singer. Because when I do get loud, like in a louder part in a song, I always do that.
Yeah,
so.
just pretend like you're saying.
Yeah. Well, good.
All right.
Good.
Back to what you're saying. Dad, fraternity, 80s.
Dad fraternity 80s. He was, I guess this is what you did. And he said it was like fun. It wasn't any of the stuff that like we see in movies nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, we didn't like hurt anybody. He's like, it's just a group of guys drinking. Like,
Drinking
that's
some
what it
high
was.
life.
Drinking some high life, talking about their jobs that they need to get when they get out of school. But he was in a fraternity, and I don't know, it just never tickled my fancy. I always thought the guys were just kind of just like, you know, we're going to use that word again, disingenuine. Just was like, I don't know, I just didn't identify with, like, I just like doing my own thing. And I don't know about you, but I like my alone time too. Like, I like when I can just have my time to recharge and, you know, I like being around people, but it's like also my job to be around a ton of people.
Yes.
So when I get home and, you know, somebody's like, hey, you should come out and do this or come out and do that. It's like, I would. I'm just, the social media's low, you know? So that's kind of why I never really liked that, because it was, you know, just very.
It's not your cup of tea.
Yeah, not my cup of tea. I don't know. It's just, I scoff at it. I'm like, oh God, what? I'm like, you pay for your friends. You know, I always love doing that joke.
I never got that.
Well, because you have to pay dues to
I know, it's so goofy.
to like pay the chefs. Like, they have chefs at fraternities. Isn't
So
that crazy?
they're kind of culty then, huh?
Yeah, that's why I didn't like it. You know? Like,
Weird.
I like the only cult I'll ever join is a music cult. People like that just like a band. You know what I mean?
You heard it. That needs to be clipped, and it stops there. The only cult I'll ever join, and it just stops there.
The only cult I'll ever join. That'd be a good little piece in the promo.
Cults make a lot of sense.
I mean, they do.
Because like religions are just big cults. Fraternities are a little smaller ones. Clubs are another form.
Yeah.
Your financial state in life, like living in a cul-de-sac that's got a gatekeeper, and you have people who come water your grass, and you have all these mansions that are like the same thing. That's its
Cookie
own version
cutters.
of a cult.
Yeah.
Where you have a private driveway, and everyone shares like this nice area no one's allowed in. That's its own version of a cult. There's many versions.
But there's something to say about the
stuff.
size.
The size matters.
Size matters.
If it's big enough,
size matters. You guys hear that?
If the cult's big enough, then people don't think it's a cult anymore. They call it Catholicism. They call it Islam when they call it, a lot of things.
Yeah.
Judaism. It doesn't really matter, but the cult can ebb and flow. And if it's it can be elitist. You could be part of the yacht cult or the yacht club. They like to call it.
Yeah, the yacht cult. But that's crazy. Can we talk about that for a second?
Which one?
A yacht club?
Oh, boy.
Can you imagine having that much money to the point where you have to join a club that does cost a lot more money to talk about how much money you do have and spend a lot of money at that club that costs a lot of money?
You know,
how many times did I say that?
They would just say that we're just jealous we can't afford to be in it, I guess.
That's why I never dug country clubs.
No, I've never really. I think I've been to one. I've been to two that I worked, like sound for like an event.
Yeah, I used to work at a country club. Nice. When I was in high school.
Which one?
Bolingbrook Golf Course.
Was it nice?
Golf course. Yeah, it's very nice. It's where they do a Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson, right?
That guy is a beast of
he lives
athlete.
He lives in like Burr Ridge.
Oh yeah, a lot of athletes do.
It's crazy.
Derrick Rose did. Frank Thomas did. A ton of people. I mean, that's a very wealthy area.
Michael Jordan lived in like Northbrook or something.
He's probably could live wherever he probably has a house everywhere. He probably lives next door too.
Yeah, who knows? He's probably got his own land here too. But the Bo Jackson event they used to do there all the time was kind of crazy because we worked on the little like range hut that was across the so there was like this big driving range, right? And there was enough space for two ends to hit into each other because obviously the balls aren't going to travel that far. It was a lot of land. And so they had a range on the side of where the big country club was, and then you go over like several yards, and there's a cabin, which was where a lot of people would pull in from like the more south end of the town to come up and just go on the other side and hit. So I was the guy that was I was picking up the golf balls in the cart.
Oh, that's fun.
People that would get, they call me a range attendant.
Did you have was it protected? The cart?
No, I was just out there. So yeah, of course it was protected.
It'd be more fun if it wasn't.
Well, I had some friends that were on the golf team, and like my dad's like big in the golf, so is my brother and stuff. So like, and like, I'm not a big golfer. I do like disc golf. I'm a big disc golfer. I do enjoy that in the summer. But so I know how the game works and stuff. So I was just like, yeah, I'll I had some friends working at the golf course. So I was like, yeah, and I was like range attendant. I'm like, I don't want to get hit with these, like, because it's loud in there. When it hits that cage, it is loud.
Should wear earplugs.
You know what? I always had headphones in, listening to music, but I don't think that helps because I'm listening to loud music.
Yes,
and
it
then,
doesn't.
Yeah.
Unless they're headphones like this.
Yeah, I didn't have over ears. I had the good old iPhone cord phone or the cord headphones before the pods came out.
I refuse to do the pods. I still rock the headphones with the cable.
Really?
I don't do anything. I hate wireless compression. Bluetooth compression's awful.
That is also very.
Come on,
true.
now I'm an audiophile. Well, let's go.
I remember you told me that, and
I tell everyone that but it's not hip. You got to be hip.
Yeah.
And hip comes at a cost, and the cost is
gotta
compression, loss on low and high end, loss in dynamic range. Mm-hmm. And I'm not about that, people. So
no, and I think what I noticed with working that type of job, doing that, and wearing those wired headphones, is that that job was so like it was pretty like developmental to how I looked at things, because I was like 16, 17 working at the time, and I'm like, okay, well they're paying you minimum wage to go out there and get yonked by golf balls. And I had like some buddies on the golf team that would come out, set up, knowing right where I was going to be, and I would just be just a jerk, and they'd be right on the like what do you want to call it, the tee, I guess, and there'd be a ton of golf balls right there, and I'd go right next to them and just get in front of them and like just mess with them and stuff. And I think there was a certain fun to the job, but it was very developmental in the fact of that I'm like, I hate this, like you had the polo tucked in, like
Ralph Lauren.
Yeah,
Pink.
It was just like it really helped me like open my eyes up to like that type of life that I didn't really necessarily identify with.
Yes.
And like I do country club gigs, but I'm not dressing up I'm dressing up in how I dress. Jeans, boots.
What's it like playing country club gigs?
They're usually private events.
What's that like?
You want to hear a funny story about one?
I do.
So I was up in Lake Country, Wisconsin. I was in, what's the town called? It was called Lac La Belle.
Lac La Belle.
Like Lake La Belle. So that was the country club. It was called the Club at Lac La Belle. And it was such a nice golf course, right? And I am playing like like one of the pubs that's there right on the golf course, like right at the 18th tee. It's, for those that aren't golf people, that's the last hole.
If someone didn't know, like, where have you been?
Well, I don't know.
18th hole, baby.
You never know. It'd surprise you. But so I was playing this country club gig, and it was. I know the area well. I have actually old neighbors that moved up there that I knew, and I've been up there a lot as a kid and stuff, and I just love that lake country. I'm a big lake guy. If you guys want to know anything about me, I love lakes. Love them.
Grant, the lake guy.
Yeah. My dad's best friend calls me the lake expert, because I know like I'm a nerd, dude. I nerd out about it. I do. Like he doesn't call me that.
Kids, you see that right there? That's a man-made lake. See that over there?
No,
that's made from glaciers.
I don't do it like that. I'm not like that. But like,
wait, before we go, do you know the difference between a pond and a lake? The scientific difference.
No, I don't. See, that's why I don't recognize the term of lake expert. I don't think I'm an expert. I just think I like lakes and I like geography, so it all kind of comes into one.
Yeah.
Which I am kind of a geography nerd. Like when you're going out on the road and stuff, you just notice the, just terrain and everything around. I don't know. It kind of geeks me out. It's weird.
I'm right there with you.
But
trust me.
I like it. So when I'm up there in Lake Country, it's like a lot of trees and rolling hills, and it's just nice. Like I love Wisconsin a lot. It's very nice. It's just like I've always wanted to have a house like here, like yours, where you have land and just like I grew up in a neighborhood where there's, houses are this far, apart.
3 inches from each other.
Yeah, seriously. It's like, and don't get me wrong. I love the way that I had grown up. Like I'm roommates with one of my best friends that was my first friend. He grew up across the street from me. He's younger than me. And so we grew up across the street together, and having that type of, friend around and in that area, it's nice. But when I'm older, I want something where I can kind of just like feel like you can breathe a little bit. I don't know. It's a very weird thing for me, but I like the idea of the openness. So I always gig up there because there's like, I think there's like 10 lakes within like X amount of miles. It's beautiful. And so I get a country club gig up there. Great country club, by the way. Shout out to Mike, who was the bartender who helped me out there. Great guy, paid me and everything. He was just really cool. He's like, we loved your stuff. That's always nice too when you get somebody giving you a nice compliment like that. So I'm up there playing my set, so I do a big mix usually on the road of covers from the 1970s to modern day. So modern day rock. So I do all types of genres of rock, but basically usually I say like anything from like Tom Petty, Eric Clapton to like, I do a lot of like, I'll do like the Decemberists, oh my gosh, Jack Johnson, a little bit of Dave Matthews Band, stuff that people just know too.
Yeah.
But stuff I really like too.
Popular rock.
Yeah, like Weezer. I love Weezer. I do a little bit of like Eagle Eye Cherry, Third Eye Blind. I do a ton of stuff that's like modern too, like The Fray and Black Keys stuff. I do a big mix. So, I'm doing a mix of like that set, just, within my own originals as well. I'm not just a cover artist. My kind of goal as a musician when I'm going to gigs like this, most gigs, but especially gigs like this, is I like to have, for every one original I play, I like to have 2 covers. Because how I look at it is I play 2 covers first and familiarize people with like, oh, okay, I know this song. Oh, Running Down Green by Tom Petty. I know that tune. Island in the Sun by Weezer. I mean, that's a fun cover. People know that one. And I just love that album. I love Weezer. I don't think anybody didn't like them. They were great. And
Pre like 2002.
Oh yeah. But like, like Green Album and all that. But so I was, I'm playing up there, and I figured out kind of this. I'd figured out a while ago, but I really noticed it when I was doing the 2 covers, 1 original setup that I do in my sets, because people, catch their ear and you visibly see them, or like people make eye contact with you. And so I kind of noticed that was working. And then I say, hey, can I play some original for you? And most people are very receptive about it, because I feel like a lot of people that, if you go out and play your originals, and like I'm still building my fan base. I'm 23 years old. I'll be 24 in May. Like you gotta.
He's a baby.
You give people a little bit of stuff they know, and then you say, hey, can I play an original? And people are just more receptive to listening to that, I feel like. Then, there's those people who just want to hear covers, and I don't just do that. I'm an original artist that plays music that I enjoy as well. So I'm playing this gig, and this lady, this was like the best country club gig I've ever played to date, because it was so cool how this worked. These group of ladies and like a couple of guys hanging out at like the end of the bar, and I start seeing all these people like funneling into like this room next to me. It was like kind of like not like a conference room, but like kind of like a dining room. And I'm like, oh, there must be like, people have weddings here, maybe like a rehearsal dinner or something. Sure as hell, people are having a rehearsal dinner, right? So they go out to the bar after they're done eating, having some drinks. And I remember I played Only Want to Be With You by Hootie and the Blowfish. And you and me, oh, here, doing that classic 90s. No, I don't do that. But it's like, you and me, that song, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good. Just in case you didn't know. And I'm playing this song, and I see a lady kind of like make eye contact, like, like really enjoying it. And I was like, it's like, hey, kind of giving her a thumbs up, but like being like, hey, thanks for hanging out and listening. Because people will do that far away. They're like, I love that. It's like,
thumbs up.
Thumbs up. That's always nice, right? So, and want to give those people shout outs, because they don't have to do that, but people are nice. And that's really cool. Restores your faith in humanity, right? And this lady comes up to me after I finish playing, and she goes like, "What are you doing tomorrow from like 4 to 6?" And I'm like, "Well, I do have another set back in the Chicago suburbs where I'm from." And they're like, "What's it gonna take for you to play our friend's cocktail hour for her wedding here?" And I was like, "Oh, like what do you mean? Like who's the friend?" She's like, "She's right over here. Her name's Brittany. Shout out Brittany. She's awesome. If she watch, I'm gonna send her this episode. She's cool. I met her on the road. Very nice. She was the bride getting married, and she comes up to me and she just goes like, we loved your sound. Would you come and perform?" And I'm like, "You know what? I'll stay another night here." I mean, I already had like a hotel booked for that day to just like sleep, wake up in the morning, and then I can just play the gig and drive home. So I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I ended up having a gig back home, and I canceled it because I met these great people. And then I played their cocktail hour, and people were loving it and just having a great time. And that was like the best country club gig I've played. But then you get some people just don't listen. And you're just like, you finish a song and it's just dead air. And you're like, all right, it's not even an entertainment gig at this point. It's just like, hey, man, just sit back and play your set and enjoy it. And just, hopefully you catch some people's eyes, But that's probably the best country club gig I've ever played, but they're mostly, it's just like kind of for ambiance. You get some people that just want a solo musician to, if there's a party going on or, just in the lobby or whatever, you never know.
How are the people? Be honest. Tell the truth.
For the most part, pretty great.
Tell us about the part that's not the most part.
Okay. You do get those people that are just like, you can just tell that they got a chip on their shoulder about something. You know what I mean? It's like, it's no disrespect, but it's just like
no disrespect.
I guess you could see it anywhere, but there are those people who just I don't know. I think it's the luxury of being in a country club because I don't know if you know this, but you probably do. It costs like 5 figures to be a part of a country club.
Depends on the country club. Some are 6 or 7.
That's what's ridiculous to me. How can that be 7? Or even 6.
6. 7 maybe, but I've heard of 6. There's some in South Florida by like Naples.
Oh yeah.
Like where like multi-millionaires go. Like people who have so much money that $300,000 a year for, a membership is nothing. So
like our former president Donald Trump, he's got that Mar-a-Lago thing.
Anybody who can afford that, they're on a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I always kind of and I shouldn't do this, but I sadly I don't prejudge, but I'm like, I go with a thought and I'm like, you could get somebody like this, like, Mar-a-Lago, West Palm Beach, that type of, I just, that like kind of ritzy lifestyle,
Sure, sure.
And, a lot of people that are at country clubs from just what it seems, and it could be a stereotype and I could be wrong, but, just like their cars, they like their golf clubs, their clothing, like they just like, they're very, in the most like non-being a jerk way, very materialistic in that way. And most of those people, I feel like with music, which I've noticed, is it kind of brings out a soft side. I've seen some people that are just like, that you're like, oh, this person just, they'll walk in and like don't even say hi to you. It's like you're not even a person. And I always say stuff on the mic like, I'll be like, hey, you guys do your thing, and I hope you guys have fun. But like, you guys can come and talk to me on my break and stuff. I'd love to get to know anybody.
Yeah,
I'm putting myself out there to want to be like, hey, I'd love to get to know people. But then there's the smaller part, like I've said, that just they just don't care, and like that's okay because how many people are there in the U.S. now? 330 million.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. You're
not gonna impress anyone. I hate that too. Like that idea of like you gotta. Hey, look at me. It's like, no, it's just like.
Well, you will remember this. 1,000 True Fans.
Yeah.
Do you remember that project?
Yeah, I do remember that.
That's all you need.
Yeah, that's it. That's
you don't need a 330 million fans. You just need a couple thousand.
Because
they could support you.
Well, yeah, think about like a couple thousand just true fans that like love your stuff.
That buy your stuff. That's tens and tens of thousands of dollars.
Right. And that
You're
people
fine.
are putting towards you. That's what's like so important. Like right now, I created a group on Facebook. So I got kind of, I don't know if you've noticed this with Facebook. I know you use Facebook still, right? Are you on there much or no?
No.
Yeah, okay.
I'll post.
I'm sorry. Meta, guys. Meta. We're going to Meta.
Meta. I will post Not often. Once every month or once every 2 months. Usually something.
Well, it's DZ related, right?
Yeah, maybe something DZ related. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm so bad with Facebook.
Well, with Facebook, I feel like it's just getting harder and harder. Like if you have like my music page, right? Like a separate page for people to see that because it gets kind of lost in the, your newsfeed.
No one sees anything I post.
Right. Exactly.
I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, it's just like.
I did my part, I guess.
So I thought, what would be a smarter way to kind of just build my base? Because, people who would like my posts on my regular music page, great, fans, friends of mine, people I've met on the road, people I've met through teaching, it's just people that's how it starts out, and not a lot of people think that. It's not just like, hey, I'm going to chuck $100 into this ad, and then boom, we're good. We got a fan base. It takes way more than that, right? So Facebook has groups, and I remember when I've been in groups on Facebook, I always got notified when somebody posted in there. So Brain Biscuits started the turn. And
you mean the gears?
It's from
Do biscuits turn?
It's from a episode of The League with Mark Duplass and Jay Duplass. They created this. One of my favorite shows. Just such a stupid show. And Jason Mantzoukas, the actor. You probably would know him if you saw a picture of him, but he plays this guy named Rafi in The League, and he said that in one episode, like he was thinking, they're like, Rafi, like, come on, let's go. And he's like, well, hold up, my brain biscuits are turning. And his gears. Because he plays kind of that lovable idiot in the show. So I like saying stupid, goofy things like that. But I started thinking, I was like, okay, well, why don't I just create a group and invite people that like my page and just like that I know on my personal page, and whoever wants to actually like check my stuff out and look and like stay on top of what I'm doing will join the group, right? So I created the group, and I'm up to like 570 right now, 570 members, and it's nice. And people get notified, and the reason I know that is because I joined from my personal page into the group, so I can make sure. And every time I post something, it comes up as a notification. So I'm like, yes. I'm like, this is great. This will keep people notified, and that's been working pretty good with the whole fan base thing to keep people kind of updated. And I've primarily just started posting in there because what's the point of just like, other than like if you release something that you want all those people on the other page to see, like monthly dates or merch or like new songs. Mm-hmm. That's like 2 or 3 categories that you're like, okay, that's a general post for there. But I call it the Grant Milliren Jamly. I think you're a part of it.
I don't even know. I'm a part of so many groups.
Well, you're probably part of the Jamly. You better be, guys.
You hear that clip? I turn off all notifications on Facebook. I don't know what's going on in that world.
Well, I guess I'm just nerded out by it, but it's just I'm happy. I'm not always on Facebook like obsessed with it, but I'm like, I just love the fact that I was able to find a better way to like reach people that actually want to check some stuff out. Because it's tough as an up and coming musician to just be like, like figure your way out, and you got to do that and kind of find the light at the end of the tunnel. And I wanted to just find ways where I can keep people notified on what I'm doing and where I'm at, and just kind of actually actively talking to people that are wanting to actively join. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I've been doing that, and I'm that 1,000 is a big goal for me to get. Hopefully, a couple months into 2022. But I know it'll probably take a little longer. Mm-hmm. Hopefully. It takes less than I'm thinking, but I don't want to.
Isn't it weird, these arbitrary numbers we have, these goals? I got to get to 2,000, 1,000.
Well, to me, I don't necessarily, I love what I do. I don't care as much about the numbers. Like, you know what? Look, guilty as charged. I posted my Spotify Wrapped as a Spotify for Artist. I did. Because I felt coerced. Because everybody else was doing it. So I was like.
Social pressure.
Well, I put it up because I was like, I felt good about it. Yeah. I was like, I'm like, I released, I had a single I released in April, and then I just released a new song 2 weeks ago. And I don't know, I was just kind of like, this is awesome. Like, I'm like, I wanted to show it, right? But more importantly, it's like after I had posted it, I did think to myself, I'm like, I don't even care about these like numbers. I'm like, I see people who post a ton of numbers, and I've seen posts of people that do not do any numbers that I know that are like active musicians out touring and making a living off of stuff. And I think that to me is like the most important is like, you know, putting original music out. It's not about streams to me, you know, like I get it. I get it. Like it sucks. I don't know. I feel like it's a big topic for people to be like, you know, like, oh, it's BS that Spotify doesn't pay us or, you know, all these other services don't pay us. I'm like, well, what'd you expect? It's a corporation. They're going to just screw you over. I mean, they don't care about you. You're little, you know, and it sucks.
Yeah, there's a couple million of you.
Right. Don't get me wrong. It sucks.
Yeah.
But if you're going to release original content for the sole fact of, we're going to release this is going to get 100,000 streams. It's like, you're not doing it for the right reason. And you should probably rethink how it's done because it's more so just like a, hey, I released this. Check it out if you want. And if you like it, share it with people that you know. I can't control you. But hey, it's out there and it's in the world. Give it a shot because it would make me feel good if you did. You know, because hey, it'd be nice to hear that you're checking something new out. Because I feel like nowadays, unless you're, oh my gosh, Adele. Also, I love Adele, by the way. But if you have to be like an Adele or like a Drake for hip hop, or like a, oh my gosh, who else is like a
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, like a T Swift, right? You have to be like that to get any like really like cool recognition, I guess, of like, hey, you know, this person's doing it. And then like, I just always thought like Grammys and all that stuff, that's all a sham, man.
Oh, it's nonsense.
It's
Those
so
awards
nonsense.
are jokes.
I know. And it's
There's
like,
so many musicians under that. There's so many tiers of musicians. And I don't mean quality. I just mean like as far as popularity and how much they're paid. But it stems from the random person who just started out and they come into my basement and this is their first time doing anything. I've had so many times it's their first time ever recording or being recorded in their life, and they have no followers, nothing on the internet. They're just starting out, and this is ground zero. To people who, again, who perform at the Grammys and have 50 million streams a month just on Spotify. Like, that is, for those listening, that is the far, wide, massive, spherical spectrum of music, and there's so much in between. And most of what people think about, that top 40, the Billboard 200, whatever it is, which is ridiculous and pathetic and a joke, but
Billboard 200. Wait, what is Billboard 100?
100, 240, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Who cares? We're on bending brains. We're bending brains here. We're saying, you know what? Screw it to the Billboard.
In my experience, that's a bunch of nonsense. And most of the best music I've heard has been way lower than that in tiers. The dive bar, the cool show you went to, and the opener blew your mind, and you check them out and they have, 1,800 monthly plays, like nothing to write home about, like just random people.
Maybe not even that.
Nah, not even that. 100.
Yeah, 100.
They just are great musicians who love to do it, and if they keep doing it, maybe monetary value will find their way to them. But it's to do it just for money. That's very disingenuous, and you'll be found out very quickly. Sooner or rather later, maybe
you'll figure out that you feel like you're lying to yourself. I know people who get so like butthurt about the whole stream thing, and I'm like, who cares? Why does it matter? Just write, like have fun playing music, like go perform, like bust your ass,
save up, buy vinyl, sell them at your show, make money your own way.
That's what I'm saying.
Be an entrepreneur.
There's an artist I know named Josh Daniel. He's out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and he's awesome. And he does like he did a ton of live streams. I found him during COVID, and he's awesome. And I ended up figuring out he has a thing called a Jamly too. So that was so crazy to me too, is he's got like kind of similar things. And I took a lot of what he was doing and tried to make it my own and apply it to what I'm doing, right? So he talks about how, he made a post or something. I saw something about how he was like, selling vinyl and shirts and all his own stuff to his fans that he, made over streaming. He had a small fan base. He started streaming a ton. He built it way up. He was on like Good Morning Charlotte or something. He's a phenomenal dude. He's got like 2 kids. He's married, and he's doing all this live stream stuff. Like he'll get asked to go places and do a live stream. Like throughout COVID, he was getting like probably going to friends' places and stuff, but he lives in like North Carolina. So he was going like on the beaches, on the ocean and stuff. And I don't know, maybe doing vacations with his family while COVID or whatever, and just streaming from the beach and stuff. And seeing the way that he could do that and just do it all on his own. And it makes you look at it like, oh, wow, okay, like this is how it should be done for because he's a solo musician too. Plays in bands too, but at the core he's Josh, you know, and that's kind of what I do. And I've been sitting there and I'm like, man, I want to really just keep everything more centralized to the people that want to actually hear about it, you know, and that's what's ultimately, I think, the most important with all that. So if you go on his Spotify and he's got like his songs are up, but they only got like 1,000, 2,000 streams total. It's like, it doesn't matter. It just looks, it's more so of a look. It's like, oh, look at all those commas. You know, it's like, who cares?
And sometimes it's just the random algorithm working in your favor. The right person saw it, something was shared, and things can go viral and it has nothing to do with your skill. It's just a random algorithm anomaly. You know? And it happens all the time.
Can't wait around for that stuff. You know?
No,
like
not at all. You can't plan on that happening. That's like winning the lottery. I know bands that's happened for them. That's amazing, but they didn't expect it either. It just happened. You know, they might have been putting a playlist, and then a week later, it's like, wow, my song has 500,000 plays because they got on some random Spotify playlist.
Right.
You know, it just happens, and you don't know why. Sometimes it's because you tried and you actually put it there.
I'll do that too when I release my music. Like I'll submit mine to like 20 playlists just to be like, hey, you know, I'm releasing a new song. I do it to a lot of the playlists. I've been on a couple of playlists, so I've always sent it to the ones that I've been on when I release something new, and see if they want to add it.
Yeah.
But like I like to do a lot of submitting just to get it in front of people's faces, just to, you know, you got to take a chance, right? But a lot of it too is just kind of random.
Yeah.
It just kind of happens.
No, I'm just massaging my...
Oh, are you? I was like, what are you doing?
He's like, what's going on?
I thought you were signaling.
He's having a heart attack.
I was making sure you're okay.
No, yeah, working, I'm always just like massaging my chest because it always hurts.
Yeah.
So I do this.
You lift in the big weights?
No, I do at home stuff like every day.
That's awesome.
But, you know, they used to call it the prison workout. I'm like, I don't know if I like that. I'm going to call it the quarantine workout.
Quarantine workout. I like
just push-ups,
the workout.
sit-ups, planks, different types of planks, pull-ups, chin-ups, a bunch of different stuff. Using the bar that goes between the door, you know?
Oh.
Just that.
Yeah.
That's it. No gym, dumbbells, flies, bicep curls, little
Look at you.
squats.
Here at Bending Brains, we don't only bend our own brains, but we bend our muscles.
Well, you don't,
rip 'em.
unless you want to get like really big, which I don't.
No.
You don't really need to go to a gym if you're creative and you learn how to use your own body and your couch and
I'll never go to a gym again.
And again, they are nice with more options and a lot more options. I'll say it twice. Just a lot of options.
I disagree.
You know, there's a lot of options. Too many options.
I think gyms are a gift from the devil.
Oh.
100%.
Elaborate.
They screw you, dude.
They screw you.
They screw you.
Like a drill.
Yeah. They
How
just
do they
screw you over.
How do they screw you?
All right, I joined a gym. You want to hear a story? Yeah.
Wait, you have stories?
Yeah, I do. This is why you had me on the show. I text you. I'm like, hey, I want to be on the show. You're like, hey, you could probably talk a lot. So, yeah, let's do it.
I'll just chill. Yeah, go for it.
Well, I joined a gym a couple of years, maybe 2 years ago. And there was like some hidden clause that said I had to have a proof of like relocation of like a bank statement or like a piece of mail that shows that I moved outside of like 25 miles from that gym if I wanted to cancel.
What gym was this?
It's called Edge Fitness.
Well,
Screw you, Edge.
That's your problem.
I'm done with Edge.
You went to Edge.
No, well, my friend was there.
What was that gym called Edge?
I don't even know. It's right on Aurora Avenue and in Naperville, and they screwed me. I mean, I will out them. I do not care.
How'd they screw you?
Screwed me. So I signed up, and they'll probably do their classic corporation thing if they ever saw this, and they're like, "Well, you signed a contract," and it's like, well, look, why do I have to? It's kind of uncomfortable when you want to go cancel the gym, right? And they're like, well, you have to give us a proof of where you're moving to. I don't know you. I'm not showing you where I live.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm moving, Why does this have anything to do with you? If I'm wanting to cancel my subscription, it should work like any subscription. If you want to cancel it, cool. You know what? That's
sometimes they'll ask you twice, are you sure?
Yeah, right,
yes, I am.
right.
Okay. Hate to see you go.
Yeah, right. That's the treatment I would have got, but I didn't. I had to be on customer service, and they're explaining to me a million times. They're like, well, we do need this. I'm like, look, I'm going back to school. I was just here for a couple of weeks, and I joined it just for the couple of weeks, and I'm leaving now. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't do another month. I just needed it for a month. And they were like, well, you're going to have to show us a proof of this, or you're going to have to do this. And I'm like, why? And I fought them on it. And they would never budge. So I did something smart. And I went to my credit card company, and I called them, and I talked to them, and I told this lady about it. And she was with me. She was like, yeah, screw them. She was like, that's the worst. I can't believe you're going through it. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. And I said, yeah, me too, but thank you. And she canceled all the like transactions that would come from Edge over and it was like from $5 to $150, $200, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And she canceled it on that card. And then I ended up just saying screw it, and I just canceled the card out, the credit card. I had like a Discover, it's like that Discover IT card that kids in college get. So I ended up canceling that, and I applied for a different card to just kind of get out of it. And I found out they had my backup debit card. So I had to go through Chase, do the same thing. They cancel all that out. And Edge, I remember ever since that happened, maybe for the first 3 to 4 months after I put that and did that in, I was getting nonstop emails. We can't process your card. You're going to have to call us back for your membership. This and this and this. This is serious, yada, yada, yada. And just delete. I'm like, you guys didn't help me out. I went and did my own thing. That's why I just don't join a gym, because they screw you like that. There's these hidden clauses and these little things that you don't know about, and then they get you.
It might have been a small gym that did that, because my experience with Export was I did it was so cheap. $20 a month or something.
Yeah, it's like 10, 20 or
something
whatever.
like that. And I did it for a month or two, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna. This was in the middle of COVID. And I was like, I'm just gonna work out at home. I don't feel like driving. I don't feel like I want to get. I need a lot more time in my day. I don't like the music. I don't really like working out around people.
Yeah.
I like to just work out alone and be in my own head.
Right.
And just be by myself. I don't need the motivation of going to a gym to motivate myself. I don't need that.
There's a lot of things you have to do before the gym to get to the gym. Have you noticed that?
What do you mean?
Just, you got to be like, all right, I got to get on my gym clothes. Got to do this. Got to get
pre-workout.
I never did any of that.
No, I'm like, I wake up, do my workout, go for a 5-mile hike, come back, do a podcast, do my workout again later. Little stuff.
We're doing a podcast.
We're doing a podcast, in case you didn't know. This is part of my workout, by the way. This is my mental workout.
Good. Yeah. And you need that, though, too.
Yeah.
You need it in all aspects. I go on 5-mile walks.
Yeah.
It's been freezing, so I haven't done it the past couple of days. But
every day, baby. Rain or shine, doesn't matter.
That's what I need to get into that
gear.
habit of just getting back to that, because I was doing that every day, 5-mile walks, sometimes closer to 10, just walking.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah, it's the best.
It's the best.
And
easy workout.
Oh, it is.
But it's a workout.
Just make sure you're wearing gym shoes doing it.
Good gym shoes.
I've done
inserts.
I've Conversed it before, and it was bad.
What is wrong with you?
Well, I was just going on a regular walk, just hanging. I was like, it wasn't like a workout.
Where do you walk?
Well, I live in downtown Naperville, so I'm like, okay, I'll just walk to the parks around there and through downtown. Yeah.
Get off that concrete, boy.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Get down to dirt, gravel, leaves, just nature.
See,
concrete's terrible for you.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's that's what's good with Hickory Hills. You guys have a lot of.
Yeah, I drive to the forest, and I just did it this morning. Just like a dirt, gravel, leaves, grass for 5.25 miles in the forest. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I guess great. I can't complain about that, because I know there are spots I could go to.
Naperville's surrounded by a lot of forests.
Yeah, but I think it's just the fact of it's the same thing with the gym. It's just getting that. I gotta get in the car. Gotta turn my. You
gotta find a friend who'll do it with you.
Yeah,
I'm fortunate to have a bunch of friends rotating that enjoy it. I went alone all the time.
Well, I'm fortunate. My girlfriend and I live together, so she goes with me basically wherever.
That's cool.
But I love that woman, but she gets so cold all the time.
I love that woman, but she sucks.
No, she's the best, but she is literally she gets so cold. Like I'm like, we need to put 50 coats on you because like let's go do something. You know?
Yeah.
Because like when it's cold, you do get cabin fever. And then like she'll put on one layer and then her like puffy jacket, and I'm like, that's not enough. It's like 15 degrees today. You know, I'm like, we got to bundle up. And like I'm sitting there, I got like 2 shirts on. I'll put like a nice, you know, thick sweatshirt on, and then put on my pea coat, and then a hat and stuff. But like she gets cold so quick, so she never wants to go when it's cold. And I'm like, all right, you know, that's fine. So I'll have to go kind of do my own thing with the walk. But I just like with being in that area, it is nice. There are forest preserves and stuff, but it's also just the fact too with just like, I don't know what it is with just the past couple of months too, maybe with the holiday stuff, but it's just been like so busy. Like I can't complain. I've been busy on the road. Like I got 5 sets this week, Wisconsin tonight, Indiana the next 2 days, and then back to Illinois dates Saturday and Sunday.
When you do those, do you just come back to Naperville?
Yes, I mean sometimes. So tonight I'm going up to Waukesha, which is suburb of Milwaukee. So it's about an hour 40 drive. So it's like basically to ISU. So I usually drive. You know, I'll get there at 5 o'clock for load in. Get there an hour early and just get set up. You know, get my sound set up, everything I need to, and then tonight's 6 to 8. So by the time I'm loading and putting stuff, you know, loading out into my car, it's like 8:30. And then I'll drive home on an hour 40. So it's not bad. I'll get home
a fast
at
drive. No traffic
I'll get
at
home
that
at
time.
10:30ish, right? So sometimes I do that. But I'm in Indiana on Thursday and Friday, and the venues are like 45 minutes apart in the area. So I'm in St. John at Malt Brothers Brewing Company on Thursday, and then I'm in Michigan City, Indiana, at Shady Creek Winery where I do a residency.
Those aren't far.
Yeah, so I'm like, you know what? I'll just get a hotel room. So sometimes I'll do that where I'll just get a hotel room. So just got a hotel room in Michigan City, and I, you know,
What is
basically
the residency?
it's called Shady. Where is it?
What does that entail?
Oh, okay. So just like show a month. I do a set a month with them.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so I've a lot of places I do residencies with, which is great. So like, you know,
Guaranteed shows.
yeah, guaranteed set a month or 2. Some places I do 2 a month. But like I'm up in Wisconsin a lot too.
Why not, do you do a lot of Chicago gigs?
Oh yeah, I got. Oh, not downtown. No, I try to avoid downtown.
Why is that?
You know what?
Why? Who avoids downtown?
This is interesting. I probably had a feeling this question is going to be asked, but like, I hate driving to the city. It is so awful, and the city is fun, but like, my God, it's like take everything I'm doing and multiply it by like 15. It's so much harder finding parking.
Yeah,
Well, not only finding
but
parking.
It pays better.
It is a little better, but that's the thing. I always found that it balanced out because you do meet some cool people in the city, but then you do meet some real, just like, all right, I don't connect with you. We're not the same.
Of course.
Yeah, you know, you meet those types of people, right? Everybody does.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. I've been wanting to get to Chicago.
I could just
more.
see you rocking one of those lame parties on a rooftop on a skyscraper.
Thanks.
You know,
lame party.
Not that you're lame, but
So,
one of those like ritzy
Ben said I'm
parties.
lame, guys.
One of those lame parties that Grant's just wailing, killing it, and they're paying them way too much money, and
And they're not.
the cocktails are way too expensive, and they're just hustling and bustling, doing some deals, and you're just the background music, just like looking over at Lake Michigan.
I do a lot of gigs like that, though. It's funny. It's actually funny you say that. But not lame party stuff. More so, I actually like. So, with being a full-time musician, one thing I've really noticed is you need to have I shouldn't say good mix, but more so just like having the open mind to doing a couple private events a month too, because the money's better because you have to just kind of do more. Usually I offer people like, hey, if you want me to, learn a song or two, a request, let me know. But I'm not a request artist because I have my cover list on my press kit. I'm like, if these artists and this, these generations are something that you like, then, and you think we'd be a good fit, then cool. I'll write my set to that. But, hey, give me a request or two and I'll see if I can fit it in, that type of thing. Because there's the big difference between being a request artist and an original artist that does covers. There's a difference. So all requests, you're just doing all all covers, and that to me is just not the way to go with music. It's I want if I'm gonna be putting in all my time and work into being a full-time musician, I should be able to do what I want with it, right? So doing those private events, it's more so cover stuff that you do. But I'll fit originals in there too as well. But that's why private events are good in the way of like, hey, yeah, it pays more and it's still fun. You get to meet people, but you kind of don't get to really put yourself out there as much on the scale of like, hey, here's some original stuff and doing a big mix of stuff. Because to me, the mixed set is so fun because you do cover tunes, but you're also doing original music of yours that you wrote that you're either that's already released or is going to be released or you're recording. So that's what I really loved. But that's like the yin and yang of the private event is you might have to do more cover stuff, but hey, you are getting paid more. You still get to like meet people. But I've always liked the venue stuff the best because I could just do my thing and meet all types of people and different types of lifestyles and people that are just genuinely open to listening to original music. Because, parties, people are just like, let's get something like this type of music. You know what I mean? And I think that's my favorite part is the more the venue stuff. So I should crack into Chicago a little bit more downtown. Excuse me for the little crack there.
I could totally see it.
What?
Like you doing stuff downtown.
Oh yeah, I've done it before. I just haven't. It's just Chicago's been tricky though with the COVID stuff.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So it's been the burbs. People are always so good to me, and I think it's obviously easier to get around. But like Chicago's not a no on my list. I just haven't really been there much since the pandemic. So I definitely need to get back into there. But I do go up to Milwaukee a lot, Milwaukee suburbs, like Lake Country and stuff. I'm out there a lot. I do a lot of southern Wisconsin stuff too, like Burlington, Wisconsin, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, like Williams Bay, Fontana, like all around Lake Geneva, that area, southern Wisconsin, Racine, Kenosha stuff. I mean, Kenosha I haven't really done. There's been, obviously, as you've heard through probably the news with all that stuff a while ago. So, just been kind of hitting the southern Wisconsin, central Wisconsin, Illinois a lot, obviously, because I'm from the burbs, so I play a lot around the area. And then I just do kind of northwest Michigan or northwest Indiana, and then I do like a lot of just western Michigan because I love that west side. So
it's beautiful.
But speaking of the rooftop, I wanted to mention this awesome venue called Rye Bells that I play at. I do a residency with them throughout the summer, and it's awesome. It's a rooftop spot, and it's in St. Joe, right on Lake Michigan. And like I'm looking, like when I'm playing, it's a great crowd, and Lake Michigan's like the backdrop. It's insane. So it's those types of gigs are definitely a thing, but I would much rather prefer them be at Rye Bells where I can just kind of do my thing and be like, this is what I do. I hope you guys enjoy. If you're interested, here's my business cards, tip jar. Here's things you can, snag from me. I'm getting a nice, finally investing in a nice like retractable banner that you can hang that you can like roll up, but you can hang it and it's going to, have my name and a QR code and stuff. And it'll, send people to my website and all that. I've seen some other musicians do that I know. And I'm like, I've been meaning to do that, but I finally found something that's like going to fit because you don't want one of those rigid posters, it makes it harder. You think about all those things as a touring musician is how's this going to look on the road, like unloading and loading, like how can I do this the easiest as possible and not, break my back if I'm playing 5 sets, I play anywhere from 3 to 5 sets a week. So, going and especially traveling in all those areas, I've looked at a lot of aspects to that. And my favorite part about being in those areas is the fact of it just like Midwesterners are just great people too, like very receptive people. I do like Midwesterners a lot.
It's it's a different type of person.
Yeah. It's just so
more humbling and modest.
Right. Not like I you know what, I'll be honest. I've met more just like dicks out west or like Florida. Florida's a big one.
Why Florida?
Well, I just like, I don't know. I just feel like people are so into themselves in Florida. And I'm not speaking for everybody in Florida, don't get me wrong. But I had a failed spring break trip in college my senior year
Please.
to Fort Lauderdale.
Elaborate on that.
Oh, it was bad. My buddy booked a really bad Airbnb, and we weren't in a good area, and it was just...
Anything sketchy happen?
There was a crackhead in the house next to us, and we got back off the Uber, and she's in her front yard looking at the moon, screaming on top of her lungs. It was weird. I'm not even kidding. Like, it literally scarred me. I called my friend who actually lived in Florida. He was in... he was like north, but he was like by the water. He lived with his parents. And I called him. I said, dude, I was having a massive panic attack because I'm like, where am I right now? Like, I'm completely uncomfortable. You know, there's a crackhead next to me right now screaming on the top. Like, it's just like, it was kind of scary. It was like, where am I? I'm not where I should be right now, you know? So the most scary part was not that. It was more the fact of like, I had friends that were, you know, very inebriated and like leaving doors wide open and stuff. And it's like, guys, this just screams like no matter what area you're in, if people notice this, you know, like people could break in. You never know. You have to take those chances, or not take those chances, but like take those things into account of like, hey, yeah, we're on spring break, but like also there are still people that rob people in the world. Like let's not throw everything to the wayside. They were like that, spring break, whatever, you know, type of thing. I get that. There's something to that mentality that's nice. I get it. But I didn't feel comfortable, so I ended up bailing to a friend's house. And he was like, dude, I wish I got work off this week. I got to work all week. I'm like, dude, don't worry. It was either the choice of I have to go buy a hotel room, and it was going to be like $1,000 for like 2 or 3 nights. Ooh. You know, it was, you know, expensive out there.
Yeah.
Or I'm like, or I can just buy a $150 plane ticket home. And I just cut my losses and bought a plane ticket home. Best decision I ever made, though, because right when I landed, it was like March 12th or 13th, and then COVID hit.
2020.
Yeah. Wow. And I was like, what? I remember getting home from the airport when my dad picked me up, and that was on TV. Like, COVID-19 sweeping America. I think so. I swear, still to this day, I swear it was my grandmother's soul watching me and giving me a bad reason to putting me through hell to
so you'd leave early.
Well, because my grandma had passed away the year before, and her and I were really close and stuff. And I don't know, you just tend to want to believe that, you know, they're looking down on you, you know. And I'm not like the most massive religious guy, but you know, I do believe there's something out there, right?
What do you think's out there?
I don't know. I think that's the whole point of, you know, being a human is like, you don't know. You just, but you feel like there's got to be something positive.
Or do we just tell ourselves that so we can sleep at night?
Well, we could do that too. But, you know, at the end of the day, to me, it's like, I don't know. I like to think that, hey, you know what? You know, Mimi's checking in on me, you know, and I loved her very much, super close with her, and may she rest in peace. But I do have a feeling like I think, you know, somebody was looking down on me, because I remember the guys that stayed the whole week. I had like left on a Tuesday because we got there on like a Monday we got there on a Tuesday, and I left on a Wednesday, and they were staying till Saturday. And I had a couple buddies who had trouble getting flights home because things started getting so crazy and people started freaking out. And that's when like all the looting started to happen and all that. And I was like, man, like I got out in the nick of time. And that was like that realization too, with what I was saying earlier about like arrogant people and materialistic people, is like we were in Fort Lauderdale, so we had to go to these beach bars because all my friends, you know, they're like, hey, let's go, let's live it up, let's do the whole spring break thing. And I'm like, it wasn't really my thing, but I was like, you know what, I'll keep an open mind. I'm gonna go. You know, I'm like, it's my senior year of college. You know, if it goes well, great. If not, whatever. Yeah. You know, and of course, it went the way I thought it was.
It did not go well.
I should have listened to myself, but at the end of the day, I'm like, screw it, whatever. At least I lived to tell the tale. Yeah. And so every time we were out at the beach by those bars, it was just like just every total like Guido type of guy. You know, just like bodybuilder. He's got the tight tank top on. You know, slicked back hair, where it's like you know, like. Or the spiky, just real spiky hair, like total like what you would see, you know, in just that typical kind of what do they call that type of person? Not like jockey, but like more of a just kind of a not Guido, but
Bro?
Yeah, like a bro.
Okay.
There we go. That's a great
Okay,
word. Like
yeah.
a total bro. Like
Yeah.
just like, yo, dude, what's up? You know? But just like it wasn't that they were like mean to me. It's just you could just tell with how they held themselves. They were
Just
like
not your cup of tea.
yeah, it's like the world revolves around me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I like the Midwest with touring. Coming back to the full circle.
Yeah,
there.
it's a lot. I don't know. It's just different.
It is, and I think there's
Everyone's from here, unless you're in Chicago. But if you're not, most people from the Midwest are like that's where they're from.
right.
They're not going there to try to prove anything. They just live here. They're just everyday people. Wake
Well-
up and go to work. Very, very just comfortable with who they are. You know, it's
Right.
just different.
And like I think the changing of the seasons too, that affects a lot too. If they like
Yeah.
actually
Real
appreciating
four
some
seasons.
things, you know, like appreciating the summer and the spring, like the nice weather we get, and then like I've always thought, and like props to Wisconsinites, they always figure out something to do when it's cold. Like no matter the season. Like I'm going up to Lake Geneva one weekend. I think it's in February. They do their Lake Geneva Winterfest. They have it's a United States national like snow carving competition they do on the
cool.
lake.
That's
it's
wild.
crazy. It's cool. And they make all these snow sculptures. Like it's February. It's cold. But it's like they do like hot cocoa crawl and stuff, just like fun stuff. And I'm like, I'm sitting there and I was like, I got like a notification on Groupon about it. And I was like, I asked my girlfriend, I'm like, you want to go? Like I'm off the road because I don't tour in January, February because it's just my off month's too cold. I record and hunker down. And I was like, February's kind of my month where I'm going to go travel. I'm going to see a friend in Dallas who moved out there with his fiance. And, so I was like, we should go, and it's like Winterfest. So I'm like, yeah, let's go. We'll go do it. And they just find stuff like that where they like, they do these, snow sculptures, and then they do it in such a way where they like light it up too with like not Christmas lights, but like just lights in general. And I don't know, it's just so interesting on how they can figure out how to do stuff like that and still keeping like a positive attitude through. Because I feel like a lot of people in the Midwest, especially in like the suburbs, oh, it's so cold, I hate it, oh, it's so depressing here.
You got to make your own love out of it, your
Right.
own life out of it.
Right.
Like,
I just kissed the mic accidentally.
that's okay. Kiss it. Go on hikes, go outside, take in the sun. Like, just buy the right gear and you have it for life.
Right.
And just go do stuff. Like, try to treat it the same way. And once you do that enough, you kind of normalize the cold and it's not so bad anymore. It's like not a big deal. Like, I did it this morning and it was not hard, honestly.
That's the thing. I think people just kind of find a reason to hate it. They don't find a reason to like it, And don't get me wrong. I'm not the biggest fan of the cold, but I do love. I do like it. I don't love it.
I like
but
layers.
that's
I
why
like
I love
not sweating.
That's why I love fall too. In that way, is like I think fall is the best season, one of the best seasons in the Midwest because exactly in the summer's great, but I'm always sweating and it sucks. And it's like I don't like playing gigs in shorts. It's a very weird thing for me. I don't like wearing shorts when I play gigs. I got very hairy legs, and I just don't. It's just weird. I'm like, I don't like playing in shorts.
Yeah.
So it's like when I got to wear jeans to an outdoor gig, that's the worst part about just summer. But it's nice having the nice weather whenever you're doing something else. But then you go to the fall, and it's kind of a mix of the both. And the leaves are turning colors, and you get to wear flannels and the style comes in. The fall's the best style.
Cardigan, a hoodie, a beanie. Yeah.
A beanie's the
I
best.
love the fashion of it.
Yeah, that's the
It's
best.
nice.
But yeah, that's kind of what I've just noticed with like being on the road and stuff, with like going around and noticing types of people.
Have you ever done any bigger tours outside the Midwest?
The furthest I've gone, no, just Midwest.
Midwest.
Yeah, no, I've the states I have hit are Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa, part of Missouri, and then I'm still breaking into Ohio. But Ohio's a little further. So
You should do a national tour.
that would be fun.
Grant Takes on America.
I know, and I'd like to do that, which would be great, but my car at 162,000 miles probably wouldn't make it. which is it's okay because I like driving around the Midwest and meeting people. I mean, obviously, of course, you want to expand and keep doing more. But
you have a record coming out?
so I'm working on one right now.
How far along are you?
Pretty decently far along. I mean, yeah. I mean, the first song is pretty much done. I'm just doing an EP right now. So, first song is pretty much done. It's kind of a new take on stuff. So I've been with being in the studio, dude. I've kind of changed up the way that I'm doing stuff. It's weird. So usually when I was in the studio, I'd have the song written and a lot of the parts were just already done. And I go in and just basically putting the track down, right? This time around, I've had new songs that I've like written on the road and while I'm touring, and they're like there, but there's so much room for change for it. You know, they're not as so set in stone. Mm-hmm. So when we've gone into the studio, it's been a lot of like, hey, let's try this out. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And it's been fun. And it's been uncomfortable in ways, but like a good uncomfortable. Like I haven't recorded like this, and I've recorded a lot, and I've been doing a lot of the same way, and it's kind of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I wanted to change something up and kind of get a new sound. So I got one of the 4 tunes pretty much done right now, and the first one's called Nightcap. And it's kind of about a breakup in a way. Not even like it's not that cliche breakup song, but it's more so reflecting on the fact of, you know, kind of the habits I was doing, you know, post breakup, and just like in that part of my life where there were other, you know, kind of dark things that I didn't like that I was trying to change. And the chorus is, I don't want to sit around and feel this bad, drowning out my pain with the nightcap. You never really know what's going to happen, but all I really know is that I miss you bad. You know, that's like, in like, the main point of that is all I really know is that I miss you bad is I'm focusing on one small thing and I'm letting it rule the whole construct of my life. Because as a human being, it's not just one thing, you know, and you have multiple things that make you who you are. It's like, to me, I always looked at people as like puzzle pieces. You know, there's, and especially as a musician, like, oh, I love this artist, puzzle piece. Love this artist. Oh, love this band. You know, and that forms you into your own sound. Mm-hmm. But that's how it also is, I think, with people. So this song is really just talking about the fact of how I need to get out of that, like, this whole situation ruled my life, that it's not everything. You know, there's other things that I have to take into account in life and not just be pushing everything else off by having a nightcap, you know what I mean? And stuff like, you know, I don't want to drown out pain. I want to face pain. And that's what the song's about in that way. And a lot of my songs are like that. I don't really like to write anything that's not, I like writing personal stuff, but I also like writing about things I've learned, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like, just kind of what it's done. And I don't like to get it too personal because I always like it up for interpretation for people. But I feel like no matter what song, unless it's like pop music where it's just a kind of more about the general just timbre of the song and like, oh my God, this has a good beat, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously you want that in any song, but as a singer-songwriter, like lyrics are a very important piece. So I always take a lot of focus on that. So the first song is pretty much done. There's no drums. It's not a full band type of thing on this tune. It's kind of interesting. I'm a big fan of Gregory Alan Isaacoff. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's a great singer-songwriter. He's like super popular but super obscure. It's very weird. You go to like a lot of his stuff on Spotify and stuff. He's got millions and millions of streams and stuff. But people that are into like that singer-songwriter, acoustic, indie, folk sound would know him. And he has this record called this Empty Northern Hemisphere, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. And you don't see him using a lot of use of drums. He kind of transforms the rhythm in a different way, whether it be like upright bass to get that sound of kind of where it fills everything and it keeps everything together, but it's not overpowering.
Yeah.
And that's what I really wanted to focus on with this record, is the fact of that, like all the songs aren't going to be like Nightcap where they're going to have, you know, the same instrumentation. I've always liked to kind of really push different things each song because try and convey different styles for each song, but stick to the main theme. So like Nightcap's a little bit more of that, like a little bit more soft, more lyrically based tune. And then all these songs have that common theme, but the general instrumentation has different influences. So when I released Comeback Kid in April of this year, that's that like hooky, just hooky kind of standard type of hit writing that this song just kind of had. I'm like, that's the type of writing that this would go well with. And I added like fun things like post choruses and stuff and like doing different things with that, but it followed more of like a, I guess, more listenable model, right? Of, the, classic hook, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, post-chorus, new verse, and then finish off with the, a lot of chorus. Like if you ever heard the term, don't bore us, get to the chorus. That's shout out to Dave Grohl for that one.
Oh, he said that?
Yeah, he said that. Like it was in like a skit he did, but that was the more general kind of hooky writing that I like to do, and if the songs have that quality. But then I just released a new single on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Tidal, wherever you get your music. It's called Don't Forget Me. You can spell my name Grant, Grant. My last name is Milliren, Milliren. Check it out. It's called Don't Forget Me. This song is close to 6 minutes. I believe it's 5 minutes, 54 seconds. And it plays more to my blues and soul influence. It's in 6/4, 6/8, whatever you want to call it. And it's got the kind of just more of that like slow bluesy B.B. King, like Gravity by John Mayer. That's what I think about when I hear the groove of just keeping it very standard, straightforward, just kind of rhythm in the back with the drums, but then like just really tasty and like just slightly distorted, but like reverby guitar licks, and just really digging in as compared to just like trying to fill space. So when I was working with my guitarist, he plays lead for me. He's one of my best friends, Nick Neiman. Shout out you, buddy. Great guitar player. We were talking with like solo stuff, and he started out playing like AC/DC and stuff. We started our first band together, and he plays very quick. Like he likes ripping and just totally shredding, right? He's good at that, but he can take a step back and do more just melodic playing of trying to really encapsulate the feel more than the speed and the energy. So what's been good is when we were talking in the studio for this song, Don't Forget Me, I said, Nick, you got to imagine that you're just digging into this fretboard. If I only gave you 6 notes that you could play, make the best of those 6 type of thing. And I was like, he's like, that's a great way to put it. And you'd hear that in the song. We're not trying to sit there and fill space. We're trying to let space kind of breathe in this song. And this song is super breathable and wide. And so I like to do that in different songs, just kind of different types of, influences and genres and things that I like that I put in. Hey, this song's a little bit more of this. Let's play to that card. You serve the song, and like that's what I like to do when I play out live too, is serving the song. Don't take it away from, the main point. Do your own thing with it, but get the point across of that you want to every time you play it. So Don't Forget Me kind of has that style. And then Nightcap is taking more of that, like I had said, indie folk, singer-songwriter, just, more so acoustic-based writing. And then we go back over in this new song of mine called The Way It Used to Be. It's got more of like a kind of indie rock, but a little bit of like the blues style way of playing, like it's like all finger picked. And we did that song in that live session that we did. And it's a little bit more faster paced, but it also, it takes some of my indie rock, but also the blues and kind of meshes it together. And the reason I say blues is just because of that like acoustic, kind of like Robert Johnson, Justin Townes Earl, wearing his shirt, his style of playing. That's where I get that influence from. And that's what's kind of going on with these songs right now. It's interesting. It's uncomfortable, but it's fun. It's like I don't know what the end goal is. I'm just riding it. That's what I'm doing.
But that's all you can do.
Yeah.
You know, as a musician and artist, is try something new.
Right.
Don't repeat what you already did. That's the best way to burn out, is just keep reiterating the same thing over and over again.
Right.
You want to, and you're so young, you want to just try new things, experiment.
Well, I got to a point like a couple of years ago where I'm like, do I just write stuff that is just hitty and hooky just all the time? She's like, is that what people want to hear? And then I'm like, I stop myself. I'm like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I'm like, you need to write what is true to what you are wanting to write and what's true to you, and people will hopefully identify with that.
Absolutely.
You know, and I mean, of course, that was a realization I always had as a songwriter, but it definitely fortified it again when I was just at a low point with like COVID and stuff, and like getting shows canceled and being like, you know, you just think stupid things sometimes, and you're like, whoa, like you stop yourself in the tracks, and you're like, stop being an idiot. That's not the way you've ever thought, and don't think like that. So I think it's fun, and I'm a producer. My producer, his name's Chris Marzalek. He's a good friend of mine. He plays in a great band called Each Day. They're out of Plainfield, Illinois, where I go to. He's got an awesome home studio, and he's just been so great. He's one of my close friends, and he knows my sound very well, and it's just nice to have him, you know, just working hand in hand and giving his opinion too. Because like I've gone to producers in the past, just like, yeah, like. Let's put like whatever you want to do, I'll do it. And like that's great. That's always great. But it's like a new leap when you meet somebody like that it gives their 2 cents.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's like you didn't even say anything. They say, this could be good. What do you think?
Yeah.
And then it gets it rolling. So it's a little bit different of a process, and I freaking love it. But it's also kind of uncomfortable in good ways. It's very hard to explain.
No, I mean I understand that being uncomfortable with music. You need to grow and change and morph into new things. It's such a, you know, you'll fall down and die as an artist if you just keep doing the same music, the same style, the same lyrics, the same hook, the same beat, the same key. You got to switch it up. You got to do new things. Add new instrumentation. Mm-hmm. Try different key signatures, time signatures. Try different artists to collaborate with. Even try a new way of playing or a new way of singing, different harmonies, different production, you know. How many records have you done?
So I don't count my first ever EP because it was bad. I was what, 16 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have my first record I released was in 2018, and then I've been releasing a ton of singles ever since. So just doing them single by single because as an up and coming artist, it's kind of the way to go about it.
Singles, EP.
Yeah. So now singles and EPs are kind of just the way I'm going. But like I was just doing singles for a little bit, and then I'm like, all right, now I want to just work on an EP and get a couple of tracks out there. So this one would be like my second record, counting an EP LP type of thing. But yeah, out on the web, I probably got about 20 original tunes out there that are in like studio-based stuff. And then I do have live albums out there too. So I got it. If I'm going to count live album, all that, 4.
Where were the live albums recorded?
I did one at Sound Summit Studios in Naperville.
Okay.
So and I actually rehearse there once a week. They give me a room and I have 3 hours. I can just kind of do my thing, which is nice.
That's cool.
I have a rehearsal space at home, but it's nice to just get a different feel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's
And do you want to be have a full band, or do you like doing the solo?
I like doing the solo stuff.
Just you.
You know? And well, I had my trio for a while and then just kind of went separate ways, and then it's like, you know, if I was going to do anything, you know, duo stuff, like maybe get another guitarist and singer, or just get a bassist, or, you know, just piano player or something.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I just like what I'm doing right now. I mean, I can't complain. I love it.
And you just will always play under your name?
Yeah.
Does it ever feel weird? Just your name?
No, not really.
I know, I feel you.
It's just my name.
I feel you.
Yeah, it's just my name.
When it's just you, it ends up not feeling like it's your name you're saying. If it ends up feeling like it's a separate thing.
Right.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain until you do it enough, and you're like, I'm not my name until I'm my name.
Right, exactly. And that's what I love about it, though, is that, you know, it's just like this, it's just who I am. I'm not going to, I don't know. It's okay to have a stage name if you're in that type of person, but I'm just like, I've never been a stage name person. You know, I'm like, this is my name.
What's your middle name?
Charles.
Grant Charles Milliren?
Yep.
What's your ethnicity?
I'm German, Pennsylvania Dutch,
Isn't that just German?
Bohemian. What?
Is it what is the original ethnic?
Dude,
or is it Dutch and German?
I don't even
Combo?
know. I don't even know. Pennsylvania Dutch. This is the Dutch who went to Pennsylvania. And
I guess I don't know why it's called that. I mean, I'm sure there's a great explanation.
Yeah,
I mean
that's what I was just told when I was a kid, so I rolled with it. But mostly like Bohemian, like Czechoslovakian. I have some of that in me, but mostly German.
Mostly German.
Mostly German.
Have you done a 23andMe?
No, I've never done that. I am 23, so I should probably do that.
And
why is it called 23andMe? Is it the lowest age you have to be?
23 chromosomes.
Oh. I told you I'm not good at science. I just forget this stuff, you know?
Is it the lowest age you have to be? You're like,
know.
I gotta check stuff. I don't know why I just said that.
No, I'm like, what? Sorry, I didn't even think about it. I'm bad.
That was the best.
I'm not a school guy, man. I'm just a musician. What do you want?
That was the best explanation I've heard for it. Wait, does it mean you have to be 23 and under to take it?
I don't know, because that could be a thing. You never know.
That was great.
I don't know. Sorry, guys. I'm stupid.
That's okay.
Stupid, guys. No.
You're not stupid.
I'm just not a science.
You're a musician.
I'm not Bill Nye.
You're
I'm
an
a
artist.
musician. Yeah.
Are there any other creative endeavors you go into besides music?
I used to podcast. I used to have a show called The Grant Milliren Show.
Yeah, I was on it.
Yeah, you were on it. Yes, you were.
When you stop?
Well, it just got to be kind of tough, just balancing that with being a full-time musician.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have a girlfriend too, and
Girlfriends.
Yeah.
Time consuming.
Yeah. Well, you know, you gotta. Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
Happy wife, happy life.
Make,
am I right?
You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not your wife though.
No, but you know, she's very important to me. So of course, you know, you got to
absolutely
give that time.
No,
too.
a relationship, friendships, anything like that.
Are
It
the
takes
big one.
It takes time. It takes time.
I found that too. That's kind of been a big thing. Is, you know, thankfully I have a good amount of friends, but it's a lot of friends moving away. Mm-hmm. And like that's what one of my new songs, The Way It Used to Be, is about. Just kind of, it's not part of it's like memories and like reflecting on fun things we did.
Sure.
Or just not even just fun things we did, but just things in general that we did.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be fun or not. But it's more so of an acceptance song in the fact of, hey, this stuff happens. You know, I can't control it. And
people grow up.
People
they move
grow
away,
up and move.
They get jobs, careers, want to try something new, girlfriend, wife, husband, partner, kids. It's over.
It's crazy.
It's all over.
No, dude, it's nuts.
Yeah. How do you think I feel? I'm gonna be 32 next week.
I know, dude.
By
Next week?
Yeah. Huh? By my age.
I can't believe I made it on this show right before your birthday. Happy birthday, Mr. Arguelles. You're gonna see this. You're gonna see this in 2 weeks. But guess what? I'm gonna send this. I'm gonna like crop this clip out after it's edited and everything. Yeah. You better put that in the episode and be mad. I'm gonna crop that out and then I'm gonna send it to you for your birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, and then we send you a nice text.
Thank you.
But
yeah, it's all over though. By the time you're 32, I'm like,
it's all over. What does that mean? Why do you guys say that?
All right.
Why is it all
I'll
over?
elaborate. When you're like, I'm not farting. That's my belt on this leather.
Okay.
You could sit there on a Saturday night and be like, I can't hang out with anybody because everyone is with their partner or a kid or at work or is tired and doesn't want to do anything. Like I literally I know a lot of people, Grant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no one I can hang out with right now. Like 5 years ago, 2 years ago, I could hang out with people. 5 years ago, so easy. 10 years ago, I could call 60 people and they'd be here in a heartbeat for a party. But now, it's like, I guess I'm just going to chill and listen to a record and relax, I guess.
Nothing
wrong with that. But when you want to hang out with someone,
it's tough.
You're like, I guess.
Well, dude, in 1 year, I had my friend Scott move to Dallas. Scott and Jade, that's that couple I was telling you about, just got engaged. Congrats again, guys. Can't wait for the wedding. I'm going to be in the wedding, which is going to be cool. I'm excited. I've never been in a wedding.
It's fun. It's fun if the wedding's cool.
Okay.
The wedding's lame. It's not fun.
Okay. Well, don't make it lame, guys. But they moved, which was like the first blood. Shout out Rambo. Literally, they drew first blood on that one. I was like, man, okay, wow, that's a shock. They're moving. I had a friend, Jack of mine, who lives in Michigan for school. He goes to UMich. And so that was like, oh, wow, he's gone. And then 2 of my close friends live downtown. 3 of them live downtown.
Might as well be gone.
Might as well. I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
They're not they're 45, 50 minutes away
Naperville's far from the city.
Yeah. And so they're a bit. And then I had two of my, like Greg, who played drums in the live session. He's in LA. And then my other friend Reed's in LA. And then another friend of mine named Mark moved to Tennessee, to Nashville for a job. And this all happened in a year.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on?
You're at that age.
I know. And that's when I wrote The Way It Used to Be. Because I was like, you know what? I need to just, like, I was having trouble just accepting the fact. Like, I wasn't like, oh, why are they leaving me? I'm not like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was more so just like, why does this happen so quick?
Guess what happens, Grant?
What?
You make new friends.
Exactly.
I've made so many new friends.
Well, that's good.
I have old friends. I have semi-old friends. I have new old friends. I have very new friends. I'll probably make a new friend next week. I don't know.
And that's good. And
that's all you can do.
But yeah, you got to make new friends as you go too.
Turns out too, the older you get, and the newer friends you make, they're way more like you because you have no reason to hang out with them other than you met them in a way that is relative to like the things you're interested in.
Right.
Old friends, it's purely proximity. It's because, like you said, oh, he was my neighbor.
Yeah.
If you met him 20 years later, you probably wouldn't have been friends.
Yeah.
Because like
maybe
you probably just would not have all the right things in common. Like professionally, friends you make now are probably like musicians, people in the audio industry, because that's where you are. And you relate to them because you guys do the same thing. But the old friends, I had them in first grade, and they sit next to me on the bus. They're at the school bus. Met them at a sleepover. Like, it's proximity. It's not even really that you have that much in common.
Right.
It's just like, oh, they were there. We're the same age, so you hang out. We're on the same baseball team. But now when you make friends, it's like, oh, we really connect because and you don't have time to waste on nonsensical friendships. So when you are making a new friend, it's because you actually, like, we get along on everything. This is a cool person, new friend, you know?
Right. And when writing that song, you know, I've made a lot of new friends since, oh my gosh, college, high school. But writing that song was just more so accepting the fact, like, hey, look, there's going to be friends that I still consider great friends, best friends of mine, that aren't going to be around because they're going to go do their thing. And like, it was an acceptance song about this happens. You can't do anything about it. And
no, you can't.
It's, you know, it sucks in a way, but it's also amazing because for the most part, I'm just happy for my buddies.
People are doing cool stuff.
Dude, go do your thing. Like I have a friend of mine, Reed. You would love him. He went to Columbia and he went for sound design.
Oh, nice.
But more so like film sound. And he's doing a ton of sound out there in LA for a ton of films, indie films and stuff. And he's killing it. He's doing a great job. And then my other buddy who's out there, great drummer. He is playing in a ton of bands. He's actually teaching at a couple schools and stuff, and like getting within the community and doing stuff like that. It's really impressive to see it because you're like, man, like I remember us like just kind of rehearsed, like because Greg, my drummer for that live session, we did a ton of duo stuff that summer before he moved. So it was just kind of like, whoa, like you're doing a completely different thing in a different city with different people. And that feels like it was, you know, feels like us playing together was years ago and it was 6 months ago, 7 months ago, you know? So that's just kind of why that song came to the forefront because I did have that under like overly just whelming, like, oh my gosh, like things are changing. Kind of got to put your gears first too, because if you got friends moving, you gotta, I'm not saying it means move, but it's also just like, keep at it, you know? Like,
I mean, you're doing you. They probably see like, well, he's not around. He's going to Wisconsin. He's going to Michigan. He's going to Iowa. He's going to Missouri. He's Indiana. He's doing all that stuff. So he's not around either.
Right. My buddies are very supportive of my career in the way, like, dude, you're killing it. Keep going. Like, sending nice texts and stuff. And that's nice because you are. You got to grind.
For your age, it's great that you're doing that.
Well,
on your own. Thank you. Your own little businessman.
Yeah. Hey,
hustling and bustling.
Hey, you got to do it.
Hey, ladies, I'm 6'1". How tall are you?
6'2".
Dang. Hey, ladies, I'm 6'2". With shoes, I'm 6'3".
Yeah, I don't know if the GF would like that. No, I've actually had that happen though, where there have been like people that have hit on me.
I'm sure it's happened,
and I laugh about it because it's like it's flattering, but I'm like, no, like, I'm sorry, I'm in a serious relationship, I can't do that. Like, what?
It's be professional.
I tell my girlfriend about it, and I just laugh, and she's like, "Why are you laughing?" I'm like, "Cause it's funny." I'm like, it's like. She, you know, because she's like, no, she's like, you know, she's like, you're my boyfriend. I'm like, of course, you know.
I don't see your name on me.
Is it written on my forehead?
Different area code.
Yeah, but she mostly laughs it off too. She's always like, that's so funny. Like, it's just funny. Like some of the people you meet that are like, that do that. People are interesting. That's all it is.
Yeah, when you get out there in the world and you're meeting people left and right, it's so fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. I love just going to events, making events happen, just meeting new individuals, people on the other side of this table. It's great. You get a little bit of insight of this universe in every single drop. It's great.
Exactly.
It's fun. You're always learning if you're just meeting new people. Everyone has their own story. It's really, I don't know, it's really beautiful.
Right. And that's what I just love about it. It's just nice that I've worked hard to get to this point and it's paying off. And just going to keep working hard and just keep at it. I mean, that's what it's about. You got to just enjoy what you're doing in the moment rather than it being, oh, what's my 5-year plan, this year plan?
You can have a little bit of that, but have majority of your brain capacity be like, what's now? What's the next week or two?
It should be like,
you got to plan. You definitely got to plan.
Future, present. You know,
gotta
like
plan
learn
a
from what
little
you
bit.
did in the past, plan a little bit, but also, you know, for the most
present.
part, be present in what you're doing.
Otherwise, I don't know. Life can be really sad when you're only reminiscing about the past and freaking out about the future. And you're like, what about now?
Yeah.
Now you're actually here now. It's all you can do.
Right.
You can't change the past. We could barely plan for the future these days.
Oh, heck
You
no.
never know what's going to happen.
Oh.
You could try so hard, but anything could happen. Speaking of planning for the future, do you have any future things you want to promote?
Yeah. So
This will probably be out in like 2 weeks.
Okay.
From today.
well, I will be off the road by the time that this probably airs. But Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, everybody. Not even just Christmas, all the holidays. Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. But go check me out if you want to get some new original music up in your ears. Check me out. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, all the streaming services. Head over to my website, which is millirenmusic.com, MILLIREN music.com, just to be, sure. And check me out on Instagram and Facebook. My handle is @TheMillirenThings. A little fun little username I did off my first album called The Little Things. So, got to get creative with the handles there. So definitely check that out. I'd appreciate any support. And just being a part of what I'm trying to put out there, it means a lot. If you're in the area of the Midwest and want to check out shows, you can stay up to date on my stuff on the tour tab and all that. But yeah, please support, up and coming musicians.
Absolutely.
So I'd appreciate that. It means a lot. And then go check out my new single, Don't Forget Me. It's on all the streaming services. Released it November 26th by Grant Milliren. So go check it out. Don't Forget Me.
You're everywhere.
I'm everywhere.
Type in your name, you're everywhere.
I'm there.
And you'll be always touring around the Midwest the next year?
Yeah, so March to December is when I tour around the Midwest.
Awesome.
So I take 2 months off to record and vacation a little bit.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you play around.
and then I play around, do my job. That's my thing.
Well, Grant, we talked for a bit.
We did.
Thank you for being here. It is, about
106.
2 hours and 15 minutes about.
Hey,
Look at that.
Ben and Brains were here.
It
We're
just goes
talking.
fast, huh?
It does. Podcasts always do go fast, especially when you're on with like one of your mentors.
Oh, my
Appreciate
heart.
it.
You're
Well,
making
you
it
do, man.
grow and
You've
break.
taught me. You've actually taught me more than anybody has in the audio world, and I've used it as a musician, just
Thank
setting
you.
my own audio up and having the best mix I can have, and
Yeah.
taking the environment into account. That's always a big thing, and that's what I learned with you a lot. So
Thank you.
it's always good to be on with your mentor.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's great to have the Padawan on.
Hey, I'm the young Padawan.
I
That's
appreciate
me.
you were one of my first students. You welcomed me into being a professor at ISU because it was a very scary thing to just jump into that.
Oh, I'm
at
sure.
28,
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Of course.
That was
I know,
3 years
dude.
ago.
Stop! Don't even just stop.
3 years and 4
Stop
months
while you're
ago.
ahead. It makes me feel. It makes me feel crazy. Like, how did that go by so
Right?
fast?
He's a strong laddie now.
Yeah. Well,
Well, I'm
trying.
proud of you, Grant.
Thank
It's
you.
so cool to see the shows and the music. You're always doing it.
Thank you,
This and that, and playing shows in Wisconsin tonight.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, you know what? I'm
Keep
gonna
doing it.
I appreciate it, man. Your support's always helped. So thank you. You're the best.
Thank you, Grant.
Thanks for having me on. I love this show. Benny Brains, check it out. Cheers.
Cheers.
This
Check
is
me
to-
out.
Yeah, this coffee's cold. Not gonna hit it. But We might need to get a refill. But Bending Brains, great podcast. Thank you for having me on, man.
Thank
Love
you for
it
being
here.
here.
And thank you for letting me be part of the show.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, take care.